Hello, Loss of Lieutenant listeners, and welcome to another episode of Loss of Lieutenant. I am your host today, Jacob, and I'm joined by my fellow hosts.
Kevin.
And Val.
This is Kevin. This is one of the few times where Kevin has to figure out whether he goes before Val or after Val, because I'm running the show.
Val's a gentleman, don't worry.
Absolutely.
Lucky last.
That's right.
And anyway, today's episode is sort of a unique episode. We just sort of felt like it was about time that we sort of hung out, talked about how we've been going recently with Infinity, any sort of random thoughts. So not necessarily a themed episode this week, but time for the Loss of Lieutenant host to sort of let you know what they've been thinking as far as Infinity is concerned.
Just
How
together and hang out, right?
Yeah. But quickly, before we get into our general hangout and our general discussion of recent games and what have you, we do have a couple of announcements to get to. Firstly, with Infinity News. So, we had announcements kind of recently that they're going to change the classified deck. They're bringing out a new one.
Yeah, so just after we finished the Q1 challenge, they've obviously taken
Thank
on our
you.
word and gone, oh wow, these guys have come up with some great ideas. Let's release a new classified deck.
Yeah.
I'd like to
So
thank all our listeners who entered for wasting their time
We
just to put it out in the universe so that
Yeah.
Sabian could listen. So thank
That's
you
all
all.
right. This was like a mega ritual of how when the first person to do a really great conversion of a model that hasn't come out, that's when they dropped the official one. This was our mega ritual for the classified deck. Well, we haven't heard anything, have we? It's just the fact that it's happening.
It'll be good. It'll be good
yeah,
though.
yeah, no news yet, but I mean, clearly it's been something that I reckon's been on the cards for CP for a little while, and I'm glad that we just
No pun intended.
Oh, I mean, fine. But
No.
got our listeners together and yeah, like you say, sacrifice the goat, and now hopefully get some new cards in the new season. So
Yeah,
then, I expect it would do, right?
I'm hoping they really sort of look at their old deck and go, okay, so every single card, well, for the most part, maybe a couple of them, but every single card we got here, we cannot repeat again, and just see what they come up
but
with.
we don't know.
Like, I mean, like if they keep something like Predator or they keep something like Extreme Prejudice, sure, it's sort of a basic function of the game. It's a fallback. You're lucky if you get it because it's easy to get. But hopefully there's a little bit something a little bit different.
I mean, what was it? I don't know how many seasons ago. What, 4 seasons ago or something like that? They changed the classified deck, and it was when it had like 40 cards. Then they cut it down to 20 cards, but obviously just doubled up every card. So, which I think everyone saw as generally a good thing. So, whether they continue that trend in that sort of way, like simplifying the deck, maybe, or like you say, just doing something completely different, we'll wait and see.
Was it 10? I mean, I could go and get it if I wanted to, but was it 10 classifieds? You had 4 each, or was it 20 classifieds and there was 2 each? And that long since I looked at it.
I don't remember. Now you mention it, I don't remember.
Yeah,
But there
whatever.
was
Let's
more.
not live in the past.
Yeah,
Let's live in the future.
Ever. But yeah, so excited to see what they come up with. Did they give us a time, like new season sort of thing, or
No, just
nothing.
speculation at this point. I mean, it would make sense for a new season. I did have a couple of new players come up to me on the weekend and ask me about how to get a classified deck, and I'm like, yeah, it's not easy, but also don't bother because it's getting done in a few months. And in the meantime, you just roll a d20.
Oh, I was about to say, did they drop an app or like they dropped a PDF, didn't they, of the English classifieds? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a PDF that they released along with the announcement where you can download your own cards.
Yeah, suck shit if you're a native Spanish speaker because you haven't bought enough classified decks. So they've got enough that they're not bringing out a Spanish PDF.
Are they not?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
There's enough Spanish decks left that they're just like, buy one of the classified decks from us.
Interesting. All right, fair enough.
We also got to see the June releases, which again I don't think necessarily are anything super new.
Yeah, I think we may have touched on them last time. I don't recall, but we do have a painted version of the Oyuroi.
Yeah, I think some of them are a little new.
Okay, which one was that?
I don't remember seeing the JSA pack.
It was. Yeah, you're right. The JSA pack is well, it's quote unquote new, as in it's existing models, but they
Yeah.
packaged them into an expansion pack, which some people have called JSA Ninja Pack, because it's essentially all the different ninjas that you can
Well, yeah,
get.
it's two Oniwaban, two ninjas, and the Shikami.
Yes, yes, that's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, so which is a great box, and it's like a mixture. Like they're all really nice models, like that Killer Hacker Backbone Ninja is something that you could only get in Operation Red Veil until fairly recently. So
Yeah.
that's good to have now in a box set. All the other models there are dope, and then you got the new Kitsune and the new Ninja, the new Ninja. So yeah, that's a great little box.
It'll be interesting because I didn't have the Takbo Ninja, but that ninja with the roof originally it came with a separate arm to give it the Takbo.
Oh really?
Yeah, it did. So I find
Okay.
this pack it's a little bit strange as far as like that's concerned because it's sort of all the people who had their red veil were really happy with their red veil ninja, and then it felt like they brought out the ninja on the roof and in the front here.
Yeah, I think sick.
To
It's so sick.
to sort of compensate for people who could. You know how like they generally have a general release of some models, like the ITS models.
Yes.
That's what he felt like is the general release of the Takbo Ninja. But now that you've got both
Yeah,
of them.
Armor part was pretty
Absolutely.
different, but yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
this is a cool pack. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Too bad the
the other new
Shikami is still too difficult to use.
Yeah, but it's a
indeed.
great. It's like you can almost use it as any other of the ninjas. If you
Mm.
want, you can use it as a tanko if you really want to. Make it weapon agnostic. The other new one, I guess, new is the Cyclone Sputnik is being repacked as well. Oh, sorry, we
Oh
can
no,
go.
I'll flick
What's the
through them.
other?
They're in no particular
Yeah,
order.
Cyclone Sputnik has been repacked with the new koalas, which I thought was hilarious because
Because the
the
Morans didn't
Morans are
get it? Yeah, I saw your post on Facebook of suck at Morans.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really good. I got a fair
so
bit of
funny.
traction. That was
So
very nice.
Yeah.
this is the Cyclone. This is not the
No, this
it's
is
not
sorry.
the
This is
Lunacod.
the Sorry, my bad. These are the Lunacods. I don't know why I said
Right, yeah.
Cyclones. They are the
That's fine.
So
Lunacods.
are you getting
Yeah,
two Lunacods in this box?
maybe.
Guess so. Yeah.
Because
Now you
that's
mention it.
a good deal because you usually only get one.
Yeah, I mean it'll increase
No,
it'll increase the
think-
cost because you might only want a single Lunacod. Now you
I
have to
wonder
buy
if
two.
they're sidecast or whatever.
Oh, you know what? Val, that could be absolutely correct. They could be. Maybe they'll put them in Siocast.
That could
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
that
who
could be
knows?
really dicey with the way the Lunacod model is put together, making it out of
Yeah, and
Siocast.
it is an
Why do we
old
still
model.
doubt CB to this day? I don't understand. Why
Is
do
it?
we doubt them?
Do we have evidence of an existing mini being redone in Diacast? I don't think we do we?
Other than like the Zeta and stuff, which
They're
like
new.
like
They're
some
new.
like some of the tags. Well, there were some models
Yeah,
that came out metal, and then like the later production came out as as the Siocast.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Like
I agree. It would be great if they did that, but yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm not
yeah.
sure.
We'll see. I mean, at the very least, if it's made out of Siocast, that bloody tail that it has on the back of it will actually be easy to glue on.
That's true. Yeah, the
I
bits that
don't,
fall off is easy.
I don't think since like I put it together, my Lunacod has had its tail on because it just falls
Yes, the
off
fins in the
constantly.
back of them. Same with a lot of the old Nomad remotes. They're just a pain in the arse. Like I've got you've got the old Fanus chicken bots, and those top fins. I just
Yeah,
lose
they're
them.
gone. They're gone.
Yeah.
That is half of the reason why, as much as like sometimes I really like the look of some of the Pano stuff, every time I look at their bloody antennas and I go, no, they're gonna get broken, or they're gonna fall off, and it's gonna drive me nuts. So like you said, we got the painted. Let's get just through the boring stuff that we've seen before. We got the painted Oyoroi.
Yeah, looks dope.
Still looks awesome. I'm for sure going to pick him up and I don't know, play JSA after BCB or something like that.
Very nice.
We got the patches that were painted up. So we've seen these guys before. They look, they look, they still look great. I want to point out whoever they got to paint these guys, I really enjoy the almost like comic book aesthetic he's gone for.
Yeah, yeah, I can
Where
see that.
they almost look more like painted. Whereas if I go back to like the Oya Roy, he looks like really like non-metallic metals and proper battle damage. These guys, their helmets look like they're reflecting a star or something like
Yeah.
that.
No,
It's a
that's a good
really nice
observation. They've
card
got like
like comic book look.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
Nice. Nice.
yeah, no, I guess the primary colors, and you're right. Yeah, the way that the blue and the no, I can see that. I
yeah.
like him. I like them. They went up on pre-order on Toy Soldier Imports as well. And then this isn't a dig at Toy Soldier Imports. This is just literally everything. But these two models are like $30 each, which I'm like, fucking hell, CB. Like
Wait,
you've made
they,
these
they
miniatures.
they're sold separately?
No, no, no. But they're
Yeah,
sixty
it's like a
dollars per
$60
pack.
pack. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
Jesus.
for two minis. Like I understand they're big chunks, right? But fucking hell, like, like they're big models, so I can understand why. But they're like one of those. Yeah, it just hurts. It's just gonna hurt every Ariadna player that wants to run these guys,
Yeah.
and to fork out that much
Which
for
which
two
is
miniatures.
sucks
Two
because
X2
Yeah.
miniatures.
Yeah.
I don't I
No.
don't
This is
I'd almost want to get four of them and make two of them Cosmos sold outs.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No.
I mean, you could definitely maybe convert them up. It would be a case. This would be a case for making these two miniatures diocast, which I'm assuming they're not if they're $60 for two. But
Yeah,
Oh,
I
don't
think
know.
I think these guys would be a great candidate for their new plastic resin.
Yeah,
mm,
I think
Yeah.
so. I think
Uh,
they probably are. Well,
we'll,
you
we'll
know.
we'll see what happens when they come out. They'll probably
well,
be
they are.
metal. I don't think they're quite ready to transition to the.
What were you saying? What were you saying, Val?
I was saying I think they probably are. I don't think they're going to be metal, to be honest.
Why are they $60 then?
I don't know. I'm not CB, but I suspect they won't be. I
Okay.
guess
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
it's a
I
guess. I
think
have no idea.
yeah, I'm guessing that they are, but yeah, we'll see.
Let's just
So
see
what
any.
faction's that? Sorry, can you go
Oh
back?
no no I'm going to go through all the boring, not quite new stuff, and
Right.
then I'll get to the actual really interesting
Right.
stuff.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yep, Stigmata.
Gorgeous and good on the table, apparently, Kevin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
apparently from what Kevin
yeah. No, like
said, yeah.
after our last my last game against it, excuse me, I have changed my mind on it. I think it's actually quite a
There you
good
go.
piece. It just isn't a tag. But yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. There you
I don't really like the model personally. I think it looks not Infinity. I don't know. There's something I don't
If
like about it. Maybe it's like the lack of head.
I,
That
I,
looks
I
really.
enjoy the lack of head, but I can see where you're coming from as far as I reckon the halo it's got on the back of it is
Kind
it's
of weird.
just it's well yeah it just feels a little bit out of place for Infinity.
Kinda,
like it
yeah. I
all.
mean, I guess as well, it's like Nomad's first remote presence tag,
Mhm.
so they can play around with, I guess,
Yeah,
the
It's
the
like it's
look
an
of it more.
antenna for all his hacking.
that's
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
that's
true.
that's not a
That's its
bad sort of like head cannon for it. Yeah,
Yeah. That's
yeah, that's its hacking device.
but yeah, I personally like the lack of head. I think it's cute.
Hmm.
Lunacard, and I think we're full. Yeah, that's full circle. So go back to the new things. Oops, boom. And now Val, what do you think these are?
I have no idea. I don't know what faction these are.
Well, if you read up the
Genuinely don't
top,
know.
if you read up the top, you can see because the picture's named after them. These are the new Rodox.
It looks like little cat fucking like Hello Kitty dolls. Look at their helmets.
Well,
Look at all
Helmets
their
like with the
ears.
ears. It's like Hello
yeah,
Kitty.
Oh
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
They got like a
I
little
don't know.
cat girl aesthetic sort of going with your ears.
Yeah. They're
Uh,
weird. They're weird. They're
look,
kind of cool. I have to say they're cool looking, but they're weird.
I mean, again,
Not very
this
funky.
yeah, this goes back to what I've been saying about the new Morats. Like standalone, these models are great, but compared to the old Rodox that had like I think it was like a beetle sort of theme or like a skull mask sort of theme. Um, I
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
feel like these guys just don't quite have the character that the old Rodex have. But
They're really nice models, but
yeah,
they're just not monkey.
yeah,
Not monkeys. Where
that's what I find as well. The I feel like CB's going really hard on like the orbital space thing, especially with the Morats.
No, I think if the helmet had if they paid homage to the old Rhodoks and had those horns with the old Rhodoks, that might have. I don't know if that would have been better, but at least it would have been homage and maybe tie them together. But these look just a little bit abstract for me. But they're still
Well,
great models.
to me, they look like the what's that unit you always take with the NCO and the number 2 valve?
Yeah, Raktarak.
Ractorac. Yeah, these look like kind of chunkier Ractoracs with the tubing and the coat
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like that.
But
Like
he's got BTS 6, so he kind of meant to have the tube. Yeah, stuff.
right, and you
Which
can
is
Yeah.
see why
fine.
they've got super jump because they've got little pneumatic fucking
Yeah.
legs down here.
Yeah.
That is.
I mean, again,
Yeah, the other ones have that as well.
I kind of like the old Rolex that had like tiny little jump packs.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
I mean, no. I mean, let's face it. No one's gonna be using them, so move on.
That
Yeah.
is true.
I mean, I was about to say the most likely place you'd ever see them is in Onyx Contact Force.
Yeah.
Fair.
Or
Fair. Yep.
or at BCB on round 3 against Jacob. Right, your boy's a hipster, and I beat them against Jacob.
Oh, not this BCB. You mean last BCB, right? Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, last BCB. That's right.
Right. Okay.
And now I think these are the probably like of the new stuff from this particular release is probably what people are most excited about.
What is it?
These are the Sharko and the other security bots.
So the Starmada expansion pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So this is a quick turnaround from literally them dropping these new profiles like a month ago or less than that to new miniatures. So well done,
Yeah.
CB. You're not dragging your heels like you are with Yara Haddad. Trying to
If
fuck up.
only you had some beautiful models in Huck Islam to potentially proxy.
Yeah. So
There's
this
only
is the
one model that you could possibly find that could possibly
yeah.
proxy.
So this is the obviously the Secu droids as the front one, and the
Droid.
one in the back is the Sarko.
Sarko. Yeah, Sarko with Wild Parrot, and some people apparently have been complaining that they've just reused the Wild Parrot that came out of the Echo Bravo box, which I'm like,
What
cool.
aren't people going to complain about?
Like, does it need a new Wild Parrot model? Like, who gives a toss? But hey ho, it's fine. Like, at least now there's more than one army that can. Actually, who else can run Wild Parrots? Like, I know it's
just
Locust.
Pano.
has one.
Locust, Echo Bravo, and this guy from what I know off the top of my head.
I can't think of anyone else who has one, so I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, some dweeb is gonna leave a comment. Oh yeah, well you guys forgot about the nomads. I don't know.
Yeah. And I'll point out again as
Not
far
to
as
call listeners dweeb.
yeah, and I'll point out again
Probably
just
with 12 listeners stopping by.
as far as the new whoever this new painter is. I really enjoy like again the way that this guy's doing the helmets with the little sparkle star thing.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that on the Sarko. That's quite a nice little touch.
Yeah,
the model
is.
is like I can take it or leave it. It's fine. But it's not. It's like a solid E plus maybe. It's just fine. It does what it needs to do, which is be in a camel state. So it's fine. And the Secu droids look like every other droid. I could literally just buy a Dakini and paint it blue, and you wouldn't know.
He almost wouldn't.
It's got the Dakini legs. It's got
Yeah.
Dakini foundations. Look at it.
It's got a backpack though, which I'm not quite sure what's in that backpack. What's in the backpack, Secu droid?
Glue. It's glue for the adhesive launcher. Or the riot stopper.
I must run away. I can't tell.
So we'll move quickly on to the other sort of release that we got.
Yeah, this is well, we've got two of them to discuss. One that I don't think has been officially even announced yet, which Jacob stumbled upon last night. That's like the Joy. So Joy Toy, we all know Joy Toy, right? It's
Isn't that Team Fortress?
They've started to release
kind of looks like it.
Infinity models for Joy Toy. So we've got we had the US ARF, and we had Margot and Duroc. Recently they've also announced some Pano stuff, but fresh hot off the press, we've also stumbled upon some hack stuff as well. Which is interesting because they're really leaning into the Ariadna release then, which is
which feels weird because
but sure.
it feels weird because then like then you're just making like these like fancy GI Joes.
Yeah, yeah. No, I will say that these look better than the US ARF stuff. I think I just prefer the look of these guys.
I think TAC has always probably been the most drippy of Ariadna factions.
Did you say droopy?
Drippy, like the most
Droopy.
style.
Never. Yeah, I
Right.
don't
Okay.
know young people
I'm just
terminology.
too boomer to
Yeah,
understand
Me too.
that one.
Me
yeah.
too.
Um,
So we got
That
so
and
we got a tank hunter. We got a vet
mhm.
Kazakh
He's a big boy.
with I think rifle
nice
T2
loadouts.
rifle as well as some heavy pistols.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got a Frontovic with rifle Molotov or Spitfire, and
Mhm.
then we've got the oops no, where is the last one?
It's a tank hunter.
Yeah, and we
Missile
have the
launcher.
actual tank hunter, the female one with the portable iron auto cannon. God, I keep saying iron
Yeah.
cannon.
Iron Cannon. We're not playing Tau. What I do find interesting, most interesting about this, we were talking about it before we started recording, because Jacob, you have a Grey Knight Joy Toy, and it's because the scale goes up, the detail can kind of go up. Like you can scale can be a bit more true to form about how they're supposed to look.
Yeah.
What I really took away from this one was the Vet Kazakh, just how much fucking armor plating that guy is cutting around
Mm.
with. Like,
Oh yeah.
this huge carapace on his
Huge.
chest,
Cool.
the like the shin pads and the leg pads. Like he's carrying a lot of weight. I can see why he was like 4-2, like
Yeah.
N3.
Yeah.
The only way
Yeah,
to stop him from being hacked, right, is to just
yeah, extra
pad
metal.
and extra metal.
Yeah. And if we take a look at some others, so the Pano, which has been obviously announced
That
a
is a
bit more
pretty
widely.
fucking cool picture.
Yeah.
That makes me like the Knight of Holy Sepulchre a bit.
Yeah.
Looking at this model, which
Model
again, like
sells pretty
what
sweet.
I was saying, like the larger models mean that they can kind
Mm.
of show off a bit more that scale, a bit more that
Mm.
earth of a model, which often gets lost when you scale down. It'd be interesting to see how much bigger this guy is next to a normal Infinity Trooper. Like if you were to buy this knight and then put him next to a regular
Yeah.
Ariadna figure, what the difference in
Yeah.
size would be.
Well, as I mentioned before, I think if you take a look at the Joy Toy figure website, these guys are 3 inches tall.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure what like sort of a solo piece like this, how tall it'll be. It might be sort of the size of what the Warhammer ones are, so about 5 inches tall, five
Okay.
six inches
Yep.
tall. I don't know.
Knight,
Go
the
and take a
Holy
look at
Knight. Yeah.
Joytoy. You know, there it says joytoyfigure.com. Take a look at the Corvus Belly miniatures. But yeah, you got the Knight of Holy Sepulchre. You've got the
Hospitaller Knights.
Knight of Hospitalis, which I think are technically like two of the same. You get four of them in this particular pack, but they're two of the same.
Right.
So you get then you've also got the Noken.
Oh
Nokken.
yeah, that's what that is. Yeah,
Yeah.
knocking. Yep, that's in there. Cool.
Then I think it's another one, but it's a female.
Uh-huh. Very nice.
And then you've got Mendoza.
Mendoza.
Mendoza. Flama. So his sword says Flama Veritas. Very good.
Yes.
Good.
Uh,
His actual model has the same thing. Yeah, it says Flamme
yeah.
Is it?
Veritas on his actual model.
I
Yeah.
guess I can't read it because he's so small.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I actually quite like these new miniatures. I don't think I'll ever buy one, but it's nice to see
It'd be an impulse buy for me.
our
Like if it was in the
beloved
shop.
game coming to life a bit more is nice to see, I think.
Yes.
So
Getting a
just
little bit of
if you
love.
go back, there's your one Hospitaller.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
with the
Yeah.
with the
yeah.
scabbard as well. Cool.
Yeah.
And you get your second Hospitaller.
Yeah, right with
Beautiful.
the
Beautiful.
HMG.
Beautiful.
And then, as I mentioned before, you've got your portable autocannon tank hunter.
Cool.
Mm.
For anyone who's not like watching the stream, watching the video, you get each of the models. They all have about 2 guns, each different set of hands, generally a handgun. a pistol or a revolver and some sort of knife sword esque thing.
Try and get some prize support for maybe for BCB. Might
Mm,
be an interesting little
Maybe,
different
yeah.
show.
That's actually a really good idea. Really
Yeah,
good
because
idea.
yeah.
it's kind of like
Niche.
you'll yeah, you'll just put it on your mantelpiece along with all your
Yeah,
other toys.
absolutely.
So,
Hmm.
and that is CB model news
Cool.
for this episode.
Cool. Okay, moving on to the next thing, we have a new segment called Mailbag, which, well, it's not really new. We've probably done it maybe once before in
Mm.
our like 4 years of being around. Actually, I think we're coming up for a fifth year this now, by the way, just as an aside. Um, but we have a listener email that came in, and I just wanted to quickly shout it out because it was about our blind or malignos
Mhm.
episode where if those of you who haven't listened to this episode, it was an episode where we looked at somewhat lesser used profiles and made a case for including them in your army. And we
Mhm.
had a listener who decided to try out one of the examples,
Mhm.
being the actual Maligno sniper.
And this was
And
this was your example, wasn't it?
that's correct. Yes, I made a case for the Maligno sniper over the Noctifer missile launcher, and Brian Jones he wrote in and he wrote us a nice little report on his findings. And in short, his findings were Noctifer better, which was a bit
Yes, Brian. Yes, yes, Brian.
which was a bit disappointing. Honestly, his results were interesting. He took it to a tournament, I think a 5 round, and he ran it in I think all
Mm,
5 games, and it only really would have been useful in one game. What I did pick up from his analysis and what he did also mention as well is that his opponents were quite gung ho, and he noticed that if he had taken an Octofer, he would have been
yeah.
able to splash damage some things. Which
He's
I
playing
personally
noobs who
find
didn't even know.
well, that's kind of what I was like. I was like, either you're playing new players, or I think he said that just his opponents were just like fucking push this link team into the open. Um, which is not my personal like
Yeah.
this is where it comes down to subjective, right? In our area, people don't generally tend to do that, so the reward is not often
Yeah.
pan out. In his particular example, it would have paid off big had it hit. Um, and I think the one game where he was going to use it in quad control, to dominate, which is one of the reasons why
Mhm.
I quite like it, is
Mhm.
he brought out a camo a little bit too early, had a gunfight,
Nah.
lost and died. So, um,
User error.
in short, he I think we were both surprised. He was surprised by his findings. Like he went in thinking, oh yeah, Malignant. After what Kev said, like yeah, Malignant's clearly better. And then 5 games later, he was like, I wish I had an Octover.
You know what's the best
I don't.
part?
I
I
don't.
get the shit on this podcast for having the shit takes, and then you have a take, and someone actually uses it,
I
and then it
think. I
turns
think.
out
I
to be
think
shit.
Val. I
You
think
get me?
Val. It's the absolute confidence that you have in your shit takes. It
Ah,
gives
well.
you the shit. But I don't. I don't think
So
you. I don't think you concluded that the Malignos was like a better Noctifer. It was just. It's a more flexible profile.
yeah, no, and like I say, he didn't, his synopsis was not like, I can't believe I trusted you. It was more a case of like, hey, I
You
took this because
betrayed me.
I could see the value, but I didn't actually pan out, and I would have
Wow.
been able to use the Noctifer better. So yeah, that was good. But I guess
Oh.
just a reminder for listeners out there, if they do want to send us an email, feedback for our episodes or ideas for new
Oh,
episodes or
yes,
anything at
yes.
all, actually, please email us in at lossoflieutenant@gmail.com. We do love hearing feedback from episodes and what you'd like us to talk about on future episodes as well.
I'll jump onto that. Yes, feedback is always helpful to guide us and tell us what to do because we
Yeah.
do it for you guys at the end of the day. But also on our Discord, we have a feedback channel which is anonymous, right? So you can go in there and you
Oh
can give
yeah.
us feedback anonymously, right? So that way, if you might know us, I don't know, you might invite us to your house and have names with us, but you think we're doing something on the podcast that you don't like or we can improve on, but you don't want to, have me stop coming to your house or have one of us stop coming to your house, you can go on our Discord, tell us anonymously and say, hey, Val, shut the fuck up and let other people talk, or whatever it might be. And yeah, so yeah, that's another avenue of feedback.
Yeah, no, good reminder, Val. I'd forgotten we even had that channel. It was last used at the start of this year, so it does get used occasionally. But yeah, definitely, yeah,
Used for
drop us a line
trolling
in there as
mainly.
well.
Yeah,
Trolling,
people
yeah,
troll
you
them. Yeah,
use it.
people troll us with
But
it.
yeah, feel free to use the feedback channel if you don't want people to know who you are. If you don't want to email us, but yeah, no, great idea.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that was all we had in the mailbag this week. Moving on from there, we'll do our challenges. So this is the first episode we've done in May. So that means that we had a winner for our April challenge. Jacob, you did the things for that. Do you want to just let us know how that April challenge went and who the winner was?
Yeah, so April challenge. April challenge was the good old days. So we challenged you guys to take a look at some of the older missions from ITS seasons the past. We got a lot of discussion about old missions. Not a huge amount of people sending in reports of of old missions. Not a huge amount of people putting in reports of old missions, and given the feedback we got on the old missions, it's either because the good missions are still around, so you can't use them, couldn't use them for the challenge, or the old missions disappeared for a good reason. So we had Hunting Party. Do you remember the ones that we had? Hunting Party.
I think Robert, one of the guys, played Com Center.
Yeah, and one played. What was it? Grid. Fuck me.
I think that might be
Grid
Com Center. I
control.
think.
Oh yeah, comm center.
Show of
Yeah.
Force? No, did anyone play Show of Force?
No, I don't think so.
Show of Force is one that I do very much miss.
Cool.
But the winner of that was Dante Harrower.
I hate that guy.
Our local Dante. Well done to
Yep, so
Dante
well
for.
done. And he has got a blister of his choice for from Toy Soldiers Imports. So if you want to get yourself a little freebie for just writing us little stories and entertaining the loss of Lieutenant Crew with whatever you come up with, submit to our monthly challenges, and you might net yourself a little blister of your choice.
I mean, case in point with Dante, like we that was part of the round robin day we had at Jim's house on, I think it was Anzac weekend or something like
Oh,
that.
Yeah, his was playing
and
you in Hunting Party.
Yeah, and I was like, after our game, I was like, Dante, just write in a report about our game, and you could win. And he was like, Oh yeah, good idea. I'll remember. So you got to be in it to win it. Like we don't want minimal effort, right? We don't want people to just be like, I played that game, I won, it was fun. Please, accept my, because we will just reject those. We would just be like, no, do better.
Yeah.
We don't gatekeep. We don't gatekeep entry challenges. Maybe that's awesome.
It's not gatekeeping if you've literally put in zero effort. If it's an F, it's not passing, right? Like
Yeah.
we will gatekeep. We will gatekeep
Yeah,
our own
yes, you are
podcast. We're fucked. we have the
It's our
ultimate power.
prizes. We do it. We judge it.
We have the ultimate power to tell you whether or not your submission is good enough.
Yeah.
That's why we make them.
So yeah, we
We'll
had
tell you what profiles are good, what profiles are bad. We'll
yeah.
tell you what challenges are good, what challenges are bad.
So we had a submission with Dante playing Hunting Party. I think the biggest gripe with that one, I think you mentioned in the last episode, is the fact that the choice between just flat out killing something or having to actually try and lock them down is fucking pain in the ass. We also had engineering deck, which is sort of just a differently scored panic room armory, whichever one floats your boat. And then yeah, we did have someone play comms center.
Yeah, which was one of the last rounds from Bookor. Quite like comm center. It's a decent mission.
I mean, I really like show of force and what's the other one? Looting and sabotage. If you want to run a tournament to encourage people to take tags. So
looting and sabotage doesn't encourage tags. What mission are you talking about?
No, show of force does, but looting and sabotage has armored fury.
Yeah, but like you're not taking a tag just because it can smack a console. You're
Well,
taking some of the
the the
decharges.
the, the other the other thing, the other one you take is you take Deadly Dance.
Deadly Dance, yeah,
That's
Is
Deadly
fun.
that
Dance and Show and Force were two
That's
old
fun.
missions from like season 11 or whatever that
Mhm.
encourage
yeah?
tags
It
with
was.
a quick roll
I,
left.
I know which one that's from. That was from the season called Tagline because it was specifically about taking a bunch of tags.
Ah, right, yes, okay.
Can I read this month's challenge?
You may,
Uh,
because it
Go
was your
for it.
idea.
Yes, we have catering services. 10 years of hospitality has given me this idea. Basically, for this month, we want our listeners to try and tailor their list to their opponents during their game. So we want you to line up an opponent, line up a mission, and tell them that you're catering your list to that mission and to that opponent's faction. Hopefully, we want to. Hopefully, it gives you fresh ways of approaching the game, right? So either the way you build your list, having your opponent's faction in mind, uh, impetus to use profiles that you might not often use. For example, if Taj was playing Jordan and Taj is using White Banner and Jordan is using ALF, Taj might want to take, I don't know, say, what's it, Lei Gong, for example. Just an example. Anyway, the point is
Great.
just make sure you communicate with your opponent that you are tailoring your list. So that way it's not a feel bad in case to avoid any feel bads. But yeah, let us know how you go. Let us know if it inspires anything new and fun for gaming experience.
Your
Yeah, we've
your.
had a little bit of feet. Oh, sorry, go ahead,
I
Jacob.
was just gonna say your friendship group Val is almost like this weird abusive relationship where you seem to hate each other.
Every single one of my relationship
Like every
friendships
single
are like
person that like I talk to you individually hates everybody else.
absolutely right. It's yeah.
It's all right.
Look,
It's a universal. It's just universal, Val. We all hate you.
it's an
Um,
antagonistical. It's my antagonistical nature.
yeah, I really like this one. We've had
Mm.
a few. We've had a little bit of feedback as to like, oh, how does this work in tournaments? We can't do it in tournaments. I'm like, oh well, duh, you obviously can't do it in tournaments. But you can do it in your everyday play, whatever, catch up with your mates, in preparation for a tournament, right? You can do it to be
Yes.
like, oh, okay, like, I'm fixated on this list, right? I'm just gonna run this list, run this list, run this list, in the lead up to an event, and maybe you can invite your friends to say, hey, tailor the shit out of your list for my ALF list, right? Make
Yes.
put all the lay gongs in it and see how my
Yeah.
list my list can counter, like, can it still counter that? Does it have a break point? And then your opponent can then like really hyper focus on trying to take out this other person's list. Which, like, yeah, like you say, it might make you look at different profiles. We've all listened to the lamentations of people trying to hack an interventor through its own repeater, right?
Mhm.
Is there any hacker in the game that can do that? That if you
Is it
really
worth
really want
doing?
to, it worth, if you want to go really hard against a nomad
Mm.
opponent, maybe you want to super tailor your list to anti-hack their hacking and see if can you overcome their hacking with it outside of something like
Yeah.
Exactly right.
So
Yeah.
thematic.
believe it or not, a really good example that one of our local players has been talking about is maybe you're playing nomads, maybe you're expecting to see some interventors. Let's say you're playing Hungaska, just to ensure that an interventor pops up. And taking, if you're playing Pano, taking the Bolt Killer Hacker because they're actually quite tough.
Hmm? Yeah,
And they're completely immune because they're veteran to Oblivion. So that's
yeah,
something you
yeah, and
wouldn't normally think of seeing, but suddenly, right, they've got a real purpose, right? When you tailor to fight interventors, because they're also BTS 6.
yeah, and you might just think, oh well, why would I do this if it's only going to be for one game? But like, you might play that game and go, okay, yeah,
Mm.
actually, maybe this profile has legs, or maybe this army composition has has something to it. Like, I played a game on Sunday, actually, against Jim again, his tack, and I decided to tailor my Rama list a little bit. Like, I basically took the same list I was normally taking, the same list I've been running, trying to play with. I substituted a couple of elements. Basically, I inserted a Nahab killer hacker because it's a good CC weapon and it has viral to overcome the BTS 0, or to fight against BTS 0. Then I swapped out Layla Sharif in one of my teams for Yara Haddad, because she's got MSV2, which gets around the mimetism, gets around the smoke that TAC have.
Mhm.
But otherwise the army is pretty similar, and it was nice to have like a different tool, like a few different tools in the toolbox. Yara Haddad came in like really handy as a secondary gunfighting piece that could see through mimetism if the
Mhm.
Mukhtar went down. So that was nice to have that in my back pocket on another side of the board. And then the Nahab was just a good like close in assault threat where I maybe didn't have that before. So, you know,
Mm.
and would I run that list outside of playing TAC or a similarly heavy camo
Mhm.
army? Probably would, yeah, because it still did everything else I wanted it to do. So
Yeah.
Yeah. It
And
inspire you to put in a new unit, right? So yeah,
yeah.
exactly, yeah.
cool.
And one thing, I don't know if the rest of you are interested to hear, but I'd also like to hear that if your catering goes really well, um, you might find a weakness in an army that either you didn't think of before, and when you tried to do that catering, it worked out. Or you might find a hidden strength, I guess, in Pano. Again, I go back to that bolt killer hacker. Once it was described to me, I was like, "Holy crap, that's not a bad like second turn rampage piece."
Mm-hmm. Actually, and
Yeah, like
some
I said, studying the other factions will give you more game knowledge as well. Because to be able to cater to another faction, you want to study them a little bit. So by studying them, it'll give you a broader idea of what the factions can do and expand your game knowledge as well. So
the perfect. That's really really good, Val. Actually, what you mentioned there, because it reminded me that I've been into Rob Cantrell's latest one on deployment. It has Infinity 101 on how to do deployment, and something that like I guess a lot of us take maybe as second nature. Maybe newer players or players who aren't as well versed in other armies don't maybe think about is exactly like, yeah, do your study on your opponent's faction. Like if you know that they're playing nomads, then you know they don't have any chain of commands. So if you can identify who their LT is after the LT roll, then maybe you can go for the LT kill on turn one and complete, and basically drop them on
yeah,
turn one. So
yeah,
that is a form of catering or tailoring your list, because you're not so much picking units. Well, you are picking units, but you're sort of changing your tactics to going, I'm going to go for your LT.
yeah,
I need to
change
I
your
need to
playstyle.
know I need to know who your LT might be, right? And therefore, by knowing what your opponent's playing and what they can and can't take, and what their whip roll is on the LT roll, you can make those informed decisions on, you know, who the LT is going to be,
Absolutely.
or whatever other important piece that they're likely to take is. So yeah, I think it's not just about like how it affects your list building, but also
Yeah, your
how it,
playstyle as well.
how it builds your knowledge of the game in general. But yeah, it's good.
Cool.
It's a great one. Yeah, so you got to the end of the month to write in up some submission for that one, send it into us at lossoflieutenant@gmail.com, and a winner will be chosen at the end of the month to win a t-shirt of their choice from Toy Soldier Imports.
So yeah, put some effort in, you scumbags. So no, sorry, that's
And
the
yeah,
joke on the gatekeeping
and
previously.
just quickly continuing our quarter 2 challenge, mission received. We're just looking for our listeners to come up and write up a new mission, to try and sort of, I guess, flex those creative muscles, and put together a mission that maybe you've been thinking for a while. Maybe this has sparked your interest in finally putting one together. So yeah, send your submissions in to lossoflieutenant@gmail.com, and at the end of the quarter, we'll select a random winner to get a box of their choice from Toy Soldiers Imports. But we will also take our favorites and we'll actually give them a real life test play.
Absolutely. Might even do more than that, but stay tuned for that one.
I'd
I
I'd
actually had a game
Yeah.
with I
I'd
had a
be
game with
interested if we get some really hot ones to do a custom tournament. I'd love to see that. Kev, do you
Amy
want
in
to
the
just
West.
quickly go over the events we've got coming up?
Yeah, sure. Oh, sorry, Val, did you have something you want to say? You want to move on?
No, all's good, all's good.
Oh, good, oh, good, cool, cool. Yeah, upcoming events. So we have Melbourne Wargaming Incorporated ITS League that is now kicked off with 18 players. So
Very cool. Thank you, Kevin.
Probably won't be taking on anybody else at this point. But call back to the monthly challenge. Perfect opportunity to participate in the monthly challenge if you are taking part in the league. Because guess what? Every round you get to tailor your list. Hey,
Yes, you
because
do. Yes.
you know your opponent, you know what they're playing, you know the mission. So you might as well tailor your list. Round one is capture and protect, and it runs for another week, so that'll be fun. I got actually shout out to Aaron, one of the locals. I think he's on Discord. He's like Turbo Chainsaw Balls Pony Rider or something. Great
Perfect.
name. But he printed off these awesome S2 markers for us. With a 3D printer with the logo for
Yes.
Melbourne Wargaming incorporated on it. These are the 3D proper silhouette S2 markers that are really invaluable in your games of Infinity because sometimes the flat ones don't tell you exactly what you can and can't see. So every player
Yeah.
is going to get one of those, and then there'll be probably leftovers to put into future prize support. Okay, next up we have Stone Monkey, which is a Darwin Infinity event. So the guys up in the Northern Territory have gotten together and organized a wee event. So it's Saturday, the 27th of May. Comics NT on Totem Road, Coconut Grove, Darwin. What a cute name.
It
Coconut
is great.
Grove. Start time's 9 a.m. It's only a 2-round Infinity event, which I believe is
Beautiful.
just because of trying to get enough people together. There's lots of people with jobs and families that can't necessarily stay for
Yeah.
3. So why run it for 3 when you just run it for 2? I guess these guys are pretty relatively sort of budding community. Have had a couple of experienced players. Sam from Melbourne has
Mhm.
recently moved back up there, and our favorite ship poster Trent, who's currently sitting in the Patreon chat quietly for once,
Mm,
is going to be running the event. So shout out to those two guys for putting
Good
it
luck,
together.
and yeah, well done for Trent to get up off the ground. Sounds like he's working pretty hard, and yeah, obviously I think this is a small community, but I think they're slowly getting there, which is nice. And yeah,
Yeah,
2 day event is a much more casual sort of
round event, but yeah,
pace. Yeah, you could just have a game, have the round one, have some lunch, have round two, and then plenty of time to chat and just hang out. I think
Doesn't
yeah, I
it
think
also doesn't destroy you for the rest of the night where you're just like,
yeah,
ah.
exactly right. Yeah, that's right.
and just like everything else up in Darwin, it's like you say, very laid back. So round one is cryogenics, round two is supplies. The cost will be $15, and you can in the event on Facebook, and you can subscribe for the event via the Comics NT Facebook page, or you can call them up on their number, which you can get off of Google. So like I said, 27th of May. That'll be really good. So looking forward to hearing the feedback from that event, hearing that community grow.
Especially on a day like today, would Darwin not be the best place to have like a 2 day Infinity tournament, like to have an excuse?
I mean,
I don't know about
like
you guys, but this morning was fucking cold.
yes. I think Trent is currently organizing or trying to organize an event there, maybe just a one dayer as part of a larger on.
It's part of a larger
The
con,
problem with
yeah.
Darwin for
Big
most people
trip.
in Australia
Big
is
trip.
it's you might as well fly to Perth. It's like 4 hours. You
Yeah,
don't think
thanks,
it's that
mate.
far
Yeah.
away, but you're like,
No,
it's the
of
other
course
side
it
of
is.
the country.
Yeah, it's
But I mean,
fine.
yeah, I think if we can get some traction with the locals, I would be quite
It
keen to
was
head up there because, like you say, the weather's great. So why not all
yeah,
the
that's
time?
right.
Tropical paradise.
There you go.
Just don't go swimming. That's my only advice. Don't go in the
Yeah,
water.
don't go anywhere near any body of water.
It's a cold beer. So next one we've got Operation ID not recognized. So apologies to Tristan for not shouting this out in the last episode, but doing it now. It's going to be at House of War on the Sunday, the 4th of June. And it's a 300 point 6 SWC usual event, no additional rules. Missions are Frostbite, looting and sabotaging, and frontline. Payment is $20 dues. There'll be prizes for podium finishes, wooden spoon, and best painted. And a special prize for the player that kills the most LTs, which is a nice little addition.
Lovely.
The
Mm.
sign up form will be is on Facebook under the Infinity Melbourne Facebook page. You'll also find it on the Infinity Victoria Discord. If otherwise, hit up Tristan White on the old Facebooks and for any additional information.
I'm
Mean
looking.
AF.
I'm looking forward to seeing the heavy infantry spam on Frostbite.
Yeah, I wasn't going to be able to go to this, but I think I've now just had some work stuff change around, so it looks like I will be able to attend.
Yeah,
So
Cameron
I'll get my
tournament to
money
look
in for
forward
that
to.
one. And it's also nice to have a new TO on the block. That's
Absolutely.
running events out of House of War. That takes some pressure off of Peter Henry, so that'll be great.
Yes, yes, Peter Henry and myself. Thank you. I did run a tournament which I did not organize at all. So please hold our
And
accolades. But
the more TOs, the better. I think
absolutely,
anyone who
yeah.
tries to look after community infinity wise always appreciates more people taking on the hard yakka of
Yes,
organizing events. Val,
absolutely.
do you want to do this next one?
Yes, for sure. Outbreak. Throw the dice narrative event. So Richie, throw the dice is cooking something up. I don't know much about it other than what I'm about to read out. So it's on the Saturday, 8th of July. It's a throw the dice in Geelong. It's 3 rounds, 300 points. Missions are Panic Room, Cryogenics, and Capture and Protect. It is running what appears to be a zombie apocalypse style event. Not much more info but than that. But what we do know is that lists will be information and there will be random events taking place during your games. So a bit of a light-hearted slash narrative
Mm.
event, but it'll still be all the same all great infinity that you love. So prizes for the best survivor and the best thick HVT. So I think that's a painting prize. Tickets are $20 and available from Throw the Dice website. So get them down. I'll be there. I'll be attending.
Reminds me of,
Yeah.
I think, a narrative event I attended a while ago, or that happened a while ago, where I think they had like Toha symbio zombies appeared on the map at
Yeah,
some point.
that was Peter's symbiophage,
Yeah, that's what it was.
which was
Yeah,
kind of similar. It was kind of like a biotech war release, so this will be maybe similar. Who knows?
yeah. We'll see.
But it sounds good. I may or may not be able to go to that one. My partner Corinna is due to fly to Rarotonga for like 3 weeks that day, so I may have to drop her off at the airport. I'll see if I can make it down afterwards. But I am keen. The open lists is interesting. I wonder what that means for the narrative event. But
Mm.
any difference from the norm is pretty cool, pretty
Yeah,
welcome.
exactly right.
All right, then after that
This
we
one
have
isn't a
so
big
many,
deal.
so many. So this is the big one. This is the 5th and 6th of August, Burn City Brawl 2023 at Flemington and Kensington Bowls Club. The cost is still currently $70 if you can buy a ticket before the end of this month. I may have said in the last episode that it was end of April, but it's actually end of May. I don't know what day of the week it is or even the month it is. So end of May, you will get a ticket for $70, where it goes up to 75 after that. There are 5 missions: cryogenics, capture and protect, frontline supplies, decap.
Yeah.
And yeah, sign up forms are on Facebook. They're on Discord. We are trying to get some interstate players. We have currently about half a dozen interstate players signed up, so that's really great. It'd be good to get everyone together and a big old
Rah,
party.
rah. Yep.
Yep. In Bonnie, well, not so Bonnie, Melbourne, because it'll be August and it'll be fucking cold, but it's all right. We'll warm ourselves up with some alcohol and fun times.
Absolutely, we will.
Okay, so and then finally, just before we went live, we had Wana, our friend up in the hot north, up in FN far north Queensland, um, ask us to shout this event out. It's a Zach Hancock special. It's Stakeout 5 Oven Tech 4. Um, So this tickets are on sale now for Stakeout 5, Bovin Tech for the 2nd and 3rd of September in the beef capital of Australia. Now you'll see why it's called Stakeout and Bovine Tech Vor.
So
Aha, so funny.
just
Um,
quickly, Kev, because I think my internet's having a bit of hiccup. Just remember, just to reiterate that it is in the beef capital of Australia, Rockhampton, Queensland.
okay, yeah,
It just
sorry.
cut out. It just cut out when you said that.
Oh, I did it. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Well, yes, it's happening in the beef capital of Queensland, or sorry, of Australia, Rockhampton. So the 5 missions are capture and protect, highly classified, biotech 4, frostbite, and decapitation. Now, because we don't know when ITS 15 will drop, missions are subject to change, but the TOs
Mhm.
will let people know.
Yeah.
It's capped at 30 players. It will be a beautiful licensed Millennium Comics, which is always good.
Beautiful.
We do love a licensed venue. Infinity Bingo and the usual social dinner will be back again. So I'm really keen for this one. I don't know if I'll be able to make it up because just gonna be a tricky one, but I will
Yeah.
start to pester everyone in our community. The problem is if I organize an interstate event for us all to go to, ends up being like a poor turnout. Like the last time we went up to Queensland for like
Yeah.
a 2D event, we were literally half the field and I organized it. Then we went out to Anzac Cup in Canberra. I organized it and we were literally half the field. So I just don't want it to be a third time unlucky. Can someone else
Yeah, no,
organize this?
We're like
It's
we're like a plague that just goes around ruining Infinity
still
events.
wait. Yeah, I'm still waiting for someone to make a meme about what's his name? Melbourne community being the pillar of the greater Indian community in Australia. But yeah, that
yeah,
could be one of
we
our
are
monthlies
the
actually.
we what make us a meme.
Make us make
I
make
feel I
make
feel I
memes
feel
about
like
us.
I feel like it's more like Kev's the Australian Infinity Moses inflicting the locust plague of Infinity players on the rest
No,
of
no, I'm
this
Noah.
country.
I'm Noah. I'm putting you all on my ark, and we're going to better
Okay.
land.
Actually,
Nah, I'm gonna take us as a plague
I
of locusts coming
well,
and
can we actually
consuming
do
all the
that?
fun.
Can we actually do that as a monthly challenge where everyone does memes for us? So everyone makes memes of our podcast, of the podcast,
Oh
so our
god,
listeners make
no,
memes. The
no.
thing is, that'll be the most honest and useful feedback we could possibly get.
Okay, look,
Because
Val.
for somebody to make fun of us,
Here's Val. Here's the question: do you have the confidence in yourself to take the absolute pounding? Right, our egos will take. I feel like I'm too
Mind if I get them
fragile
made in,
for it.
if I get them made into t-shirts? If the best one gets made into a t-shirt.
yeah, that'd be cool. That'd actually be cool. I think that'd be
Maybe
fun.
it can be like an unofficial,
I didn't.
an unofficial monthly
I
challenge.
didn't want a
Just
month
in the
where
mail.
where our viewers made me cry, but all right.
Okay, hold on. Look. All I'm gonna say is this: I know we'd get more than 3 entries for it, right? And yet we ran the previous missions, right? So hey, I think it's worth doing. That's all.
I thought it was a good idea. Go fuck
It
yourself.
was fun. Yeah, we all thought it was a good idea, so we
All
did it. So,
right. Well,
but still,
before we get to even more banter, did we want to take a quick break?
Yes, please. I need
yes, yeah,
to
quick, let's do it.
go to the little boy's room.
All right.
I mean, that's creepy. If this is gonna be recorded, I'm putting myself on mute.
All right.
As soon
Listeners, we'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We are recording again. Go for it.
Beautiful, and welcome back to the main segment of the show, ladies and gentlemen. As Jacob, I guess, prequeled, he basically mentioned that we're going to be hanging out and just chatting Infinity and yeah, just catching up with each other tonight. So on tonight's episode, so what we've been up to, what we've been thinking about Infinity, what's been on our mind, yeah, what's been kind of holding our interest in terms anything Infinity related. So, yeah, I guess did you guys want to start by talking about maybe Sunday? Because me and Kev were there
Yeah.
on Sunday. We hung out at Axe and Nails, uh, gaming club in the northern Melbourne.
Oh, your internet's dying a bit there, Val.
Oh no! Oh
Oh, you're
no!
back now. You're back now.
Yeah, am I back?
Mhm.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I was just saying. Yeah. So basically, what have we been up to? Me and Kevin were in attendance at Axe and Nails buy, swap, and sell on Sunday. Kevin, what were you trying to offload?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun that weekend, that day. Actually, yeah, like you said, Axes Nails are a not-for-profit like gaming club in the north of Melbourne that were running their very first buy swap sell at the Thornbury Bowls Club. For those of you who don't know that place, really good venue. And I was there offloading a whole bunch of shit that I have collected over the years. So there was some Kings of War stuff, there was some Mantic, Walking Dead, Song of Ice and Fire, there was Infinity, there was Malifaux, there was Terrain, there was in Wales. I think that was about it. But there was like a lot of just bits and pieces that I was like, I don't really
Bits
need
and
this
pieces.
anymore. I've been holding on to it for 2 years, 3 years. I'm like, get rid of it. So Yeah,
Damn.
did pretty well, and also got to hang out with yourself, Val, and Hugh, and met a few
There's
of the
heaps of us there.
yeah, and also met quite a few of the newer Infinity players as well, who'd obviously looks like they've come down, to see if they can grab a bargain on some
Mm.
new stuff. So managed to offload
Mhm.
some of my
Mhm.
hack and some of my old Yu Jing to some new players. So that's nice. So a bit of a circular
Nice.
economy
Yeah,
going on there. I'll get
I
to
was there
face these
too.
things in due course.
Were you there? Were you there
Oh no, yeah,
briefly?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
see
yeah.
you.
Yeah,
I was there
I
too. I
bought
did.
one of Kev after he got his old hack back had two of the really awesome old Asawiras, like the one with the Spitfire that's sort of on a tactical rock looking epic as hell. And the
Yeah.
one I grabbed, which is the
Nice.
one I admittedly I think I like more, is the one that's got a rifle and is crossing its arms.
I
Yeah,
love that one. It's
the
so
sort of
It's,
fucking
Backstreet
small.
Boys
It's
look. He's like,
beautiful.
yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
freaking love that one. But I think one of my favorite gets that I got there. So we've all seen like what's coming down the line as far as the moderators and the Morlocks go, which is they're like doing this weird thing where they're taking the moderator and the Morlock from the old Bakun starter, as well as one of the other moderators and one of the other Morlocks from the box sets, and putting it
Sure.
together, which is CB can do whatever they want. It's their stuff, but it's just a garbage box.
Sure.
Um, but I was lucky enough to find not only most of the old box, it's just missing like the samurai looking Morlock. But Nick, who was there, it was also selling the previous box of Morlocks. So I got the old like elf Morlock and the one that's sort of got like tentacle dreadlocks sort of thing. It's the one that
Yeah.
the
Oh,
really big Morlock that you can get from Lux or Luxme or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
Luxumbra.
yeah, Luxumbra. There's when you look up the Luxumbra Morlock, it's that version of her.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Nice.
Hmm.
Nice.
Right.
Okay.
It's so
Yeah.
I was I was so happy to grab those two, and then I managed to grab there's a guy selling a bunch of like World War Two tanks and battle books, which we got for my girlfriend's father because he loves that sort of stuff, and I managed
Okay.
to get some Warhammer. It was great. Now I wish buy swap sales were
More often.
more of a thing, and I think we're really lucky to have had the one that happened last weekend, as well as one that's happening I think June the 18th at House of War. They're also having a buy swap sale.
Yeah. Now, what
Yeah.
I
They had
really
one.
liked. Oh, sorry.
And I was just gonna say, no, House of War has had one previously, but it's nice to have one a little bit closer to the city that also has
Mm.
a
Yeah.
bar and then allows you to play games afterwards, which House of War would do too. But House of War, for those of you who don't know, is like 40 minutes east of the city, whereas Thornbury is pretty close for place people like me who I live 10 minutes away. Quite nice.
Yeah. Now, what I really liked was seeing everyone. We had like so many faces. It was what Lewis, Hugh, Millie,
Nick
what's
was there.
Nick, Josh, James. Yeah, Nick. Seeing Nick again. I haven't seen Nick in ages. That was awesome.
Hmm.
Phil. We had like myself, Danny. Like 9 of us. It was awesome. It was really cool. The fact that we were all in one place, kind of all these familiar faces in one place, it made it for a really cool vibe for me. And then they opened it up to games, and you had a game with James afterwards, which was cool. But I don't know. I think personally for me, I've been missing having like that regular gaming place where you show up and you game with a whole bunch of people, right? Familiar faces. That's what I've been missing from my Infinity.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think we've got some regular games nights going on, and I think it's important for a community to have those regular games nights. But what's nice about that particular day as well is it's also gaming agnostic. Like it can be
Yes.
any game, right? So we've
Awesome
had
games.
people there who maybe haven't played Infinity in a while, but or new to Infinity, so they came up and they were like, "Oh, what's this miniature? Oh, these look cool. Maybe I'll play these." And so that's also really good having like that kind of more of a just a bunch of nerds getting together and buying stuff and trying out new games and stuff. It is really
Yeah.
good.
But having familiar faces was the main thing for me. Like, just being around people you know, and you've been doing this hobby with for so long, and you speak to almost daily on like the group chat, right? But you see so rarely. I don't know. For me, that was like that's the main thing, and I really hope we can kind of get some solid like centralized gaming going in Melbourne again, because I know Peter and Tristan do a really good job in House of War. Um, but yeah, I think Axe and Nails could, yeah, if we can get Axe and Nails going, I think that'd be a lot of fun. And like touching on your point, like you had a game with Jim, didn't you? Um,
Hmm.
how'd that go?
Yeah, it was really good. We so after about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they packed up the buy swap sell. Then we went for lunch, which was nice, and then
Hey, you
came
guys
back
even
and
had lunch.
played.
See,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
played a game. Was my Rama versus Jim's Tack. We played before. It was when I was running Shaz, and I ran a Sphinx at him, and he was quite scared. But this time I ran Rama, and I sort of threatened that I would run double Maggie, but I didn't. I ran
Ooh, the mind
another
game.
list,
Mind game early.
it's a list it's a list I've been experimenting with. I've probably talked about in the podcast before, where I'm running a double duo. For this list, I had a duo of a Mokhtar MSV2 Red Fury with a Moor tactical awareness,
Yeah.
and then my other one was Yara Haddad duo Peak Red Fury.
Ah,
Then
that's
there's just like
cool.
the core link with the Zeta missile launcher, Carmen, East Hunter, full of Fanus, and then a Nahab killer hacker with infiltration. So that was me sort of what I think was before, sort of tailoring my list a little bit to
Yes,
fight
yes.
TAC. And like so we were playing Capture and Protect. He ran a whole bunch of camo markers, as is one to do for TAC.
Why?
So it was what I think was really interesting about the game, other than just
Mhm.
what we were running. But just to briefly recap on what he was running, just to give people context, he had like a core link of two Frontovic snipers, couple of line Kazakhs and Voronin in
Mhm.
one in the core. He had like three Strelok forward observers, the Antipodes, a Spetsnaz HMG, and
Two
other bits
dynamos.
and pieces like yeah, oh yeah, no, sorry, yeah, that was the other thing. He had two Dynamo AP Spitfires, which was quite
Yep.
cool as well. They were obviously supposed to be his beacon grabbers as
Mhm.
well. I think as like a Armandino and a baggage
Whatever. Yeah.
bot. But what was interesting about the game is we were playing on his table that he's built, which is a really cool table. It's a very
Good
modular
table. Yeah.
table, like
Cool.
lots of blocks, like rectangles and
Mhm.
squares, and a shit ton of scatter. Which I can't tell you enough, guys. Just you can never have too much scatter.
You
Because
can't. Yes.
he's got so much scatter that you just build a new building out of the scatter, which is what he was doing. I was like, I'm pretty
It's
sure we can
awesome.
make the table without having to make like turn the scatter into a building.
Yeah.
But it's nice. It's nice to have. It gives you options.
Just
Good.
make
Like
like one of the obstacles is like a junk pile.
we made the table, and I went first. But I'm going to get to what was interesting was he decided to hold back. His reserve was going to be the second front of it sniper. My reserve ended up being, or I held back two. So one of them was the Beast Hunter, and the other
Mhm.
one was the Nahab Killer Hacker. I had
Mhm.
intended to use that potentially to over infiltrate and be a dick. I chose not to do it because I figured I could probably get through his defenses with by cyber masking, because
Yep.
cyber masking means you can walk through mines without setting them off. When he placed down the second Frontovic sniper, I knew that I couldn't really do that because he was going to be just popping too many discovers. The other interesting part about what he did is he decided to not deploy it inside the fire team. And the reason
Yeah.
why he decided,
Y-
yeah,
yeah. Go on. No. Go on. Go on. Go on. Yeah.
well, the reason why he decided not to do that was a couple of reasons. One was Capture and Protect, if you don't know, has decompression zone. Basically rendered his Frontovic sniper burst one against that, and he put them like I put them on like the easiest avenues of approach, knowing that I was running a couple of like several units with terrain total who care about them.
Cool.
Um, so that was one reason why he did it. And the second reason was that he was only really watching one avenue, one
Mm,
flank, I guess, with the fire team. So he decided to put another Frontovic sniper on the other flank, not
not
linked,
linked even.
the intention to just cover more lanes, and he correctly deduced from my army list that I didn't have anything that could punch out over 24 inches. I had a Spitfire. I had like I had two. My guns were two Red Furies
Yeah,
and a
okay.
missile launcher, right? So he was like, "Well, you've got nothing that can really hit me over 32. So if I just put this unlinked SV1 sniper rifle, a decent position, slightly back from my deployment zone, you will have to get inside
Yeah,
before
you'll have to
to
struggle
engage
a
it."
little bit.
So yeah, which I think actually was a good move because he wasn't going to benefit from putting the second sniper in a court. Let me burst one enemy. So
Mm.
that was a nice little move from him, and that actually got me into a position on turn one of a little bit of analysis paralysis because he didn't know how to approach his army. Because, like I said, he also had like 8 camo markers as well, like
Yeah, yeah,
deployed on the
absolutely,
table.
Jack.
Um,
Yeah, that's something
that
that
was really interesting because, like, he's a relatively new player, and I was sitting here going, my first turn, going, I have no idea what the fuck to do.
What to
Like,
do?
I
Yeah.
at one point, I was like, maybe I'll just pass turn because I don't know what to do here. I don't know how to get through these defenses. Well, the moment that clicked for me, and I think this is something that we were talking about tailoring lists or just learning about the game was when I analyzed where he put the camo markers down,
Yes.
it sort of deduced that 2 camo markers that were blocking my path to getting to his core link had to be a Strelok or observer.
Right.
Or had to be it basically
Some
wasn't
sort
a
of Sherlock.
mine.
Yeah, yeah.
I deduced it wasn't a mine because if there's only 2 camo markers, I don't think it can be a mine because there's no mine layer without a decoy in,
unless
unless they're talking maybe a scout, perhaps.
unless they're
Unless
Right?
five
Is that
braining
correct?
it, unless they're five braining it and not using the decoy
decoy.
skill,
Right.
yeah, most of the time that means they've just put the decoy down.
The
Yeah. Okay.
other so they can be a mine through the Beast Hunter and through one of the tractor mule bots, but yeah, otherwise, yeah, it's pretty
Not in the midfield,
on the
right? So
midfield.
that was
Correct.
kind of
Yes.
me. So
Mm.
that was so it took me a few minutes for me to kind of like think that. Like I started going like, what is underneath that camo mark? Probably a Strelok. Fuck, what are they armed with? There's only 2 of them.
Mm,
Ah, it's not a mine. As soon as I realized it wasn't a mine, I just then boldly walked my duo of the Mukhtar and the Namur up to them, and it was like, "I'm gonna discover." He was like, so, like, and unfortunately, actually no. Well, before that, what was smart that he did is he noticed that I had Carmen Batard. Now Batard has sensor. Sensor gets
mm.
past a lot of his camo. He
Yes,
docked 2 orders from
from her
Batard,
group.
and
Mm.
because we'd also put decompression zones in the way, and they
Mhm.
were like interspaced, where I'd have to
Yeah.
walk into the decompression zone, stop, spin a new order to get out of the decompression zone, then spin a
Yeah.
new order to go into the decompression zone, stop, and then
Yeah.
spin a new order to censor. I wasn't
Hmm.
going to have enough orders to get there and censor without kind of having Batard and Carmen just kind of
Yes.
standing going hello. So that was really smart as
Was
well.
nice.
But anyway,
Yeah.
He's good.
I threw. Yeah, well, I thought I was smart. I said after the game, I was like, that was actually really smart. You docking me my second combat group. But
Mm.
anyway, once I figured out that there was no mine there, and I didn't actually have to be too concerned because it was a boarding shot. One of those 2 cam markers had a boarding shotgun. Went up, I moved, discovered it was a decoy. I'd put myself in position to look at the actual Strelok. But he decided not to do anything. So my next order is I discover shot.
Beautiful.
He chose not to do anything as well. He thought I was going to fail.
Ooh, gonna
Didn't
fail.
fail, and his Strelok died. That then
Oh
allowed me to push
no.
forward into his stuff through smoke and
Mm. Mm.
take out his ARO piece, which was the front of sniper. Then allowed my Nahab killer hacker to go into cyber mask mode, walk past his other front of get into and take out his dynamo, and then
Yeah,
he made
kill
a
his mobile.
play. He made a play for Veronin, but didn't quite make it because basically decided to shoot a line Kazakh on the way. It was an inconclusive fight, and nothing happened with Veronin. Like he didn't even get to
Yeah.
do anything, but
Didn't even get to the Ronin.
essentially just ran out of orders before I could get to Veronin.
Yeah.
But that was a really
Cool.
stressful but very interesting start to the
Mm.
game. So I think
But
from what I took away, sorry.
no, 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 sorry. Yeah, go on. I was gonna tie in Jacob.
Oh yeah.
Brief.
So yeah, basically that was main parts of that game I wanted to talk about, because once I'd gotten into him, made a few mistakes. Again, sort of, I guess, at this point, I guess it showed himself that he was still a new player, because I think he tried to go too hard on his first turn to try to,
Yep.
because I think I killed like four things in turn one. He tried too hard to kill four of my things. They
Yeah,
end up kind of killing two more of his own things in return. I mean,
Yeah.
so at that point, then he then also lost both of his bikes trying to do that.
that's really
He
hurting.
lost all of his mobility, all of his kind of central control,
Mhm,
to
mhm.
because of because the game we're playing capture and protect. This point, then I realized, well, now I can just defend my own beacon with my link team, and then move up with the Namur and the Mukhtar, grab the beacon, run back, and the game is mine. But um, it was just, yeah, it's
But
interesting just how that can how like he had definitely had some good moves. His deployment was excellent. His docking of my first combat group was excellent. So that's a really good defensive play from a new player that got me thinking. Like, it's harder than I've thought in a long time about a game. So that was great.
yeah. What's interesting though is, like you said, right? As soon as you worked out what that counter marker was, it was a lot easier for you to do, right? But that that what that ties into for me is that's the strength of tack, right? Tack strength is like paralyzing you in the with its camos, with its defensive camos, not like confusing you by overwhelming you with so many camos that you can't even do the maths or try to work them out. And that's kind of what Jacob's talking about. I think this is one attack strengths, but what Jacob was mentioning and what he's been thinking about Infinity from his notes is the fact that certain factions and certain tutorials have their strengths and weaknesses, and he's enjoying kind of this the point at the moment, kind of like figuring them out. Is that right, Jacob? Roughly?
Yeah. So, um, that's the sort of thing where I mean, I'll talk about it further later, but especially for TAC, where you, while you might look at some other factions and you have like a a TR bot, or you had the Zeta and missile launcher, which are really good things to have, sort of standing up and looking at your opponent to sort of as an active ARO piece. TAC don't really have a piece like that. Yeah, the sniper's okay, but something that's a decent shot that has MSV1 pretty much goes toe to toe with them. If they're a really good shot, generally outshines them. Um,
Not a unique selling point of the faction is basically what
yeah,
you're saying.
it's one of the factions where its advantage is the fact that Strelix go to AVA 4, where they're normally AVA 2, I think, in vanilla, maybe even AVA 1. Spetnazes go to AVA 4, where I think they're AVA 1 in vanilla. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
the fact that I think even like Antipodes AVA 2, you've got, in this particular case, you've got to lean into their AVA advantage, and that's why when I find that, like, the front of Big Forward Observer is great if you need a forward observer that's up to the front, but really where they shine is the mine layer, and the fact that if you put every single camo token in a useful position, um, you defend your sort of maybe more valuable, more active turn pieces by stopping your opponent from just pushing straight through any of the corridors, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
So
For,
would you have recommended that he ran mine layer against me rather than forward observer? Is what you're
I,
saying?
I wouldn't say against you. I would say against anybody. I would say
Oh yeah,
if
sorry, yeah.
if you're playing TAC, I'd go one. Like, if you got the points in the SWC for it, I would say one forward observer if you need it. Sometimes there's no need for it. So one forward observer, two mine layers, or if you don't need a forward observer, three mine layers.
I'm
Mm.
gonna, yeah. Look, I disagree. I play tack. I disagree, but the point is, what I do agree with is your general sentiment that sectorial has its kind of unique strength, and it's kind of cool figuring that out. And I think you figured that out in tack to be the Strelok, right? I think you're right. You're absolutely right in the sense that
Wait, hold
Strelok
on. Do you disagree with me, or do you think I'm
no,
right? I'm confused.
I disagree that you should always take three Strelocks or something like that. That's what I interpreted you were saying. You should always take like three Strelocks as strength.
Oh, I no, no. You just got to lean into the AVA. I mean, I was thinking I don't want to run TAC for BCB. And definitely the part of the reason is I took a look at like how you would do decapitation, considering the fact that most of the lieutenants are either really obvious or kind of squishy. The
Yeah.
ones that aren't in camo state. So I took a look at what a like really tack sort of decap list look like, and it was I think on the table you deploy 5 non-camouflaged units, and the rest are camouflage and parachute. And I looked at it and went, if I play a new player, just even like a relatively experienced player, it's like it looked like the most unfun list to play against in the world.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because it would be a case of literally every turn I would reveal one Spetnaz. He would do a bunch of work for that turn, and he would either die or he'd survive, re-camo, and that would be my turn.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. For me, yeah, I don't know. For me, I agree with you in the general sense that general has different strengths and weaknesses. That's really fun to find out. So, I don't know. That's what I've been
Yeah,
finding with real service and Morats and now TAC. I'm slowly uncovering like different strengths and the Strelok profile. Like it's unique, and the fact that the availability is definitely part of the TAC strengths for sure.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
okay. No, I think what you're no, sorry, just to butt in there. What you're
yeah,
getting at is we're talking. Val is trying to turn it into more of a general conversation. No, we're not talking about tax specifically now
yeah,
necessarily.
yeah,
That was just something that came up in the comment there, was the fact that there was paradox. But um, the broader point being that I think since the fire team changes have come out, that I think we can all agree that sectorals are feeling more individual than
yeah.
they ever
yeah,
have
I
been, and more. There's a bit more to uncover than there is like, what 5-man link can I take in this faction?
yeah,
Because
I
doesn't happen as much.
yeah, I think
As is, as sort of
it's
evident that, I mean, sure, like Jim took two fucking Frontovic snipers, but
yep,
I guess because of decompression zones, he broke one out. But for me, running a core and two duos is different. But we can also talk about the fact that Rama were one of the few sort of unchanged factions from the fire
yeah,
team upgrade, where they are still very much running cores,
yeah. Well,
opposed to other factions
I,
which maybe
I
aren't.
think sectorials sort of fall into 3 categories.
okay,
Where you've got ones like there are ones where like moving from N3 or moving from the old fire teams to the new fire teams, which I think is N3 to N4 change.
mm,
Um, you've got sectorials where they don't really have a good 5-man option, where like everyone has a pure fire link, but a fire team link, but it's either you're bringing up a unit that's not really worth being in a 5-man, like it's not really worth giving line Kazakhs a 5-man link. You know,
yeah, sure,
you're not really getting much out of them. So you've got sectorials where they don't really have a 5-man link. They might have a good Harris potential, um, just as the extra burst to a really good, like an already good gunfighter. But what they get is you got to concentrate on sort of the AVA changes that they have. So for me, things like TAC, which we already mentioned, Shazvasti
Sorry,
is
what
an.
is this? Sorry, just to clarify, you said there was three different types. Have you just clarified the three types, or are you just going through the first one
Yeah,
again?
I'm going to quickly go through them now. Right, so
Yeah.
you've got ones where it's not about the 5-man link. It's not even really about the Harrises. It's about the difference in AVA.
okay,
Right,
Yep.
which
Okay,
is
that's one type.
yeah. So your TAC, your Shaz, that sort of thing.
sure, yeah, no, that's
You've
fine, people.
you've then got factions where they kind of have a good 5-man link. They kind of can lean into good Harrises. Um,
Like Morats,
this
for
sort
example.
no. Morats are the other end of the spectrum.
Okay,
Um,
sure.
Yeah, Val,
right.
stop being wrong.
Yeah.
Naturally.
This is more like assassins or not Winterforce, White Banner, where
Sure.
you do
Honestly, like honestly, it's mostly everything in between.
yeah.
Really, what you're talking about.
Yeah,
There's two extremes, and then there's like the chunk of everything else.
this is most
uh,
sectorials.
Yeah.
So like things where like your 5-man link generally sort of has a bit of a disadvantage. They either don't have the greatest guns, they're a little bit too expensive, something like that. So
Oh,
the Shang-Chi core for IA is a good example.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You've then got factions that like their 5-man core is sort of the star of the show. So that's when you've got your
Ah,
Morats, that's when you've got your Rama, even OSS and their Dakinis is while
Yeah,
it's been changed a little bit to like going from insane to just being really good. And the one unique one I will say is I think the Pano Fusilier 5-man link is still pretty
yeah,
freaking
still very much
powerful,
a thing.
only
Yeah,
because they get up to BS 15, which is freaking
yeah.
good.
Gotcha. Hard to
Um,
beat. No, okay, yeah, I guess you're right. There's a few factions that can have that pure link now. That if the faction can do it, you
hmm,
know it's coming. Like anytime you're facing more ads, you're like, oh fuck that 5-man. Right.
yeah, it's true.
So,
yeah,
uh,
it's
Well,
like
like a faced Ed running
the
Aruna,
Fusil, yeah,
you
the
know,
Fusilier.
if a pure core of Fusiliers is still pretty dangerous, and it's cheap, which is kind of the important part there. I think yeah, I think what I've been noticing with Rama and playing Shaz and even just playing against other people is there is so much more variability in what
Yeah,
you can expect to see. Specifically a sectoral, not so much a vanilla. Vanilla's always had that variability, although there is a little bit of a flattening of that because people find the optimum profiles. I
yeah,
think there's a lot of play happening in sectorals right now where
mm,
yeah, like you will just be like, oh, I'm expecting to fight a core link. Oh, there's no core link, or
yeah.
it's a 4-person link and they're using that spare slot
It's
for another flex,
it's
or
it's gone
there's
from
a
the
whole bunch of options.
it's it's gone from the days where like you would find the sweet 5-man, you'd build that, and then the rest of the link would kind of be built around it. One of the best examples is um, the assassins and the Muibs.
Value back.
yeah,
Eval. The assassins and the Muibs is a good sorry, the assassin Baram core is with Govads and Muibs is a good 5-man core, but everything's kind of weak in this as far as like they don't have many wounds and that sort of thing, and that core, and it's pretty expensive. You find that, I mean, at least
Yeah,
personally, find that assassins really lean into Harris's pushing around Aswiras or Bukhtars, with
yeah,
like
yeah,
Lasiques and stuff attached, where you've got like cheap profiles, expensive profiles, and then you've sort of got the supporting pieces.
yeah.
Um,
Oh,
and I think that's given. I feel like that's really given Infinity as a whole a lot more character. Where
it's,
if somebody came up to me in N3 and said I'm playing Shazvasti, I'd go, okay, where is your Nox link with Sheshkin in it?
no. That's an incorrect statement. Sorry, Jacob. As a jazz player, you've just picked the worst example.
you
If
No, no,
you
no,
if
no,
someone were to
hang
come
with
up to you,
Kevin.
no,
Kevin is
no,
no.
no, no.
I meant in N3.
Even in N3,
All right,
yes,
all right.
sure, okay, yes, you could have, yeah, no, okay, fair enough, yeah,
Right.
you can have
In
share skin with
in
four knocks at the top.
N4, right? When I take a look at trying to make Shaz, like
Think think what I've
the best I can think is like Sheshkin and a Harris, and like that's it. I can't imagine putting her in anything else, or by
yeah,
herself,
I think
obviously.
maybe yeah. I guess I was getting maybe I was getting confused with N3 and N4, although we're just cutting N3 off from us at the moment entirely. It's
yeah,
dead to us.
Yeah,
But no,
dead.
yeah, there is more variability. I think it might have been a better example to something like and any panel sectoral pre fire team changes, you just
mm,
be like, build a Fusilier link with the biggest gun that you can find.
Yes,
Then
yeah,
everything
absolutely.
else fills itself out. Whereas in post fire team changes, it's way more variable. Like you can still do that. That's still totally viable. But there
Mm.
are just so many, and the I think the uncovering of duos. I think I'm finding
I
in
think
this
you're
game now
doing
is
well with the
really
duos.
interesting.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not doing very well, but I'm having
You're not
fun
doing
doing
well,
it.
but you're experimenting. You're
I
being
mean,
consistent, and
from from
you're
from what?
constantly experimenting with it, and that's what I really like that
Yeah.
because I'm gonna start playing around with some Duke in the
Mm.
near future, to be honest, because I've played with
With what
Harris's and
faction?
well, tack. I'm gonna have to find some ways to
Okay, yeah.
dual attack. I think
You
the
can
Ratnik.
duo a
I'm gonna play
dynamo, can't you?
Dynamos, Ratniks. I'm gonna play around with them. But like, yeah, the one thing I haven't really explored in the game is duos, and something you're kind of focusing on. I think that's pretty cool, to be honest. And I think that Yara Haddad and the Rafik. I think that's a cool
Mm.
little duo that you're using. And I was watching you play with Jim. You were doing the you're pretty unlucky against that 1-1-12, but you had the Moor or whatever with
Moore, yeah.
duoed. Yeah, duoed. And you've been using her for a while. I saw you use her against Dante as
With
well.
the
And
that's with the Mukhtar, right?
yeah, nasty, nasty. Those
Yeah.
two are models.
It's in
And
it.
yeah,
Yeah, it's such a quick duo that's able to push up the because it's got the tactical awareness and everything. Does it have NCO in that duo?
No, no, there's no NC on that duo.
That
But
would
I'll tell
that
you where
would
I got that idea from, and
yeah.
this goes right back to early N4 when we were still playing on TTS. I
Mm,
have one of the I think it's one of the guys from Canberra to thank for this one. Rob Cantrell knows who this guy is, but I forget who the guy is now. But he was playing Bakunin, and he ran a Bakunin list at me. It was a Riot Girl Spitfire duoed with Avicenna. Now,
ah,
normally
okay.
you see a Riot Girl Spitfire, Avicenna, and then a third model, like a
yes.
second Riot Girl or whatever it is. And he was like, I don't really feel I need the extra burst. I'd rather have those 20 to 30 points saved
Somewhere
on
else.
something else.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, a
Man of my own
zero
heart.
or whatever, right? I know. And then of course then you come along, Val, and you start talking about 4-man links like a fucking idiot. But there was the nugget of truth that came out of all that more at 4-man link or whatever 4-man links in general is got 10 slots in group one. You go you can go 4 or 5 Harris, make it 8, and then if you put like say like you put a duo in there, that's 10. Or you can go 6. You can do 5 with a spare at 6, right? And then
Mhm.
then you've got 4 left, which can be a Harris and then one other model. What I've found has been really useful, really interesting, is going a core of 5, duo to make it 7, another duo to make it 9, and I've
Uh-huh.
still got one slot left for
Like a
something like
skirmisher or something.
Carmen, a skirmisher, for something I can throw at my opponent on turn 1 if I don't want to.
Mm.
No, because
Risk one of
because
the
otherwise
Harris.
I'd have to move those. Otherwise I'd have to potentially move one of those duos or Harrises into group
Yes.
2, and then maybe they don't have enough
Mm.
orders, and I can't spend 3 command tokens to move them into group 1. I find myself
Mm.
going, this just feels like a nicer split, like 5-2-2-1.
Composition of the
One
group is
model.
actually
It almost feels
mm,
you're playing a game
Or
of
6-2.
like Bodyguard, where you've got this like we're talking about that the duo with the Riot Girls. It almost feels like the Riot Girl is. I know it's the other sort of way around, but the Riot Girl's there to be the
yeah,
bodyguard for Avicenna. To push up, like let's say you're playing
yes.
supplies or something, you push
Yeah,
up,
yeah,
you
yeah.
got this nasty gun, and
Yeah,
then
and then you have
you
the
get
skirmishers
up,
right there as well.
touch the box with Avicenna, and then go, okay, we're going back. All right, and you've got
You don't
potentially,
need that third model.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you don't.
Like
Yeah, sometimes you
it's
don't.
yeah,
it's balancing that. Like, do I want that extra burst?
mm,
But
What
can I pay for it? Can I pay 20, potentially 20 points for a third for an extra burst? I mean, you sorely miss the extra burst in ARO.
sometimes yes. If
But often you only get the extra burst for one order or
exactly.
one ARO, because then that thing dies
I think
or
yeah,
exactly.
it
So
goes
it
down,
makes no
and then
difference.
you're back down to one burst enemy. So it doesn't always matter.
Mm,
But I have been finding the duos are just easier to move around, and
mhm.
like you say, you get those points freed up, and you get that extra slot
Utility.
mm,
to even if you want to go for a 9-6 split, which I know a lot of players do as well.
Yeah, I do that.
yeah,
Allows you to do it. Or I mean, you can do it with a 5, and it just gives you that slot to then move something in. I
yeah.
find quite useful as well.
Well, on the
I,
topic of four-man links and unique links, what I've been using, I've had 2 games recently with Ryan and Hector. So, and I've been really hammering this four-man link, which no one's gonna like it. Basically, it's Vet Kazakh with HMG, right? Solid. Frontovic with heavy rocket launch. Fronto with paramedic, and Voronin with T2 shotgun. And this link is designed to go forward, and Voronin it's designed to either smash your face with the Vet Kazakh or get close enough for Voronin to do his shit. The other two are in the link, simply to make the link possible, because a Frontovic is required for link. In
So
ARO,
what was it again?
Frontovics, one paramedic with T2 rifle and assault pistol, one Frontovic with heavy rocket launch and assault pistol, Kazakh AP HMG, and Voronin with T2 shotgun. And it's pure, by the way. That's a pure link. So the BS
Is it?
15,
That,
yeah, so the front, so the Vet
I
Kazakh
mean,
BS.
I like. I'll let you
At that
continue, but
point, I'd be like, just put it on the front of it.
it confuses me why when you're one model off getting a pure link, you would just stop.
Nope.
No,
Wrong.
go on.
No, but the point is the whole point of the link is to go forward, right? So if you're going second, your arrow is the heavy rocket launcher. You expect them to die. That doesn't matter, right? But then when you go forward with that Harris, right? And that Harris, when Voronin gets up close, get close. Oh, if you need to shoot something, you got the Kazakh best shots in the game that you've got. The other thing and yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that. To be fair, against Ryan, I did well because he blue wolf in my face, and the game was decided whether I kill the blue wolf efficiently or I don't. Unfortunately, I didn't kill it efficiently, but I did do something very cool. These blue wolf suppression fire so close to my face that I couldn't engage him with the AP HMG, so I had to engage him within 8 inches or 10 inches so he could flamethrower me. So what I did is I ran a dog warrior into him, right? Just into DC, and then I used Voronin to go and attack him.
How did
Instead of
you get into CC with the Blue Wolf?
So I broke
Seriously.
the blue wolf's suppression, dodged, dead because I shot him outside of 24, and then my dog warrior literally just ran at him, and he shot him, one wound. I went to base because I've got total immunity.
Right.
So
Okay.
the most he can do to me is one wound.
I should have a crit. Yeah.
Yeah, outside of crit, right? But then what was tricky, what was cool was then Voronin comes up within 8 inches, and the blue wolf has to make a choice. It either CCs in anticipation in case I CC,
Well,
or
it can't CC unless you're actually in face to base with him.
I've
Yeah.
got guard, so I have the potential to CC it, so you can do that.
Can the Blue Wolf CC because it doesn't have that as an
Doesn't have guard.
option because it
No,
can't see you?
but no, but because I can CC it, right? He knows how his
Oh,
guards, he can
because you can
preemptively,
always just choose to CC and then you can just preemptive
exactly.
arrow. Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
preemptive CC, so I'm like, you know what? I'll just shoot my T2 shotgun into the combat, and my dog warrior doesn't care about T2, but your blue stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. Didn't work out,
Hmm.
unfortunately. But
So
Did you?
you just missed both shots.
I missed 4 shots. I missed 4 shots into the fucking combat and just hit my dog. My dog's like, "What have I done? I've been a good boy." So yeah, so that was unfortunate. But hey, I lost that game. So Ryan played that well. But then they played Hector in one of his that he submitted back boot. That was really fun. And Voronin did some work in that one. So he killed a couple of knights, hitting with an 8 and give them bad choices where they're like, if they dodge, close combats. If they shoot, he close combats. And basically, and if they try close combat, he just shoots. So Voronin's
Okay.
actually doing some work, and I want people to know that he's coming. I've already. Oh,
He's
and
not your. He wasn't your LT in that
he
mission though,
was,
was he?
but I
Was
had
okay.
a chain of command. And the
Yeah,
other
that's
thing
probably
is,
still a good idea because you.
I got I beat Doug as well, by the way, for the league.
You what?
I beat Doug in the league as well, so that was nice.
You
That was
beat
fun as
him?
well.
Oh well, congratulations. Is the curse lifted now? I don't know. What was that? Was that what
We haven't actually played
happened last
technically,
night?
but because this podcast, I'm playing him tomorrow. The podcast is gonna be out
Oh.
after tomorrow, so I'm just saying I've beaten him already. So just
This is going to be
Fuck it.
I don't know if you guys remember when Roger Federer had an ad for the World Cup where he had the trophy and it smacks him on the head as it falls out of the plane, but then he loses, so they have to change the ad of him sitting really sad on the plane next to the seat he booked for his cup.
oh no.
Oh,
Jacob, please.
This is what it's gonna
But
be.
no,
You're gonna be sad next episode when Doug kicks the shit out of you.
no, for
I
sure,
think
for sure.
so far you've maybe sold four-man links better than you did on the episode where we actually talked
Yeah,
about
I talked
four-man
about it for
links.
me. This
Potentially,
is like the
potentially.
first time
But
it made
I mean,
sense where I was like, oh yeah, you have a decent ARO, right? It dies potentially. You're then down to the Harris, which was the plan all along.
So that's a potential. Or if you go forward, then when you park up in the middle, if you go first, you leave. You have one member to leave out, and that's that aero piece. That way
yeah,
to ablate any attack that
Mm.
comes onto them. So
still
that
feels like a little bit of a unnecessary. Like I don't know, it's a tough one. Like it's still a tough sell for
yeah,
me. I'd
I
almost
don't know.
be like just have a Harris and drop one of the front of Bix.
But
Yeah.
It does the same thing.
less about the four-man links, more about the fact that I've really been enjoying Infinity again, actually. So those two games kind of really riled me up. And I
Yeah,
know
okay.
it's, no, I don't know about you guys, but it's been a bit of like a up and down sometimes with it recently. For me, I've put that down to the fact that there's not the regular gaming venue, and I think that's made it hard. Just having like a regular gaming venue and just knowing that, hey, my Tuesday is for Infinity. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna see the people I know, and I'm gonna roll some dice. I think that's for
Are
me.
you going to start doing that on Tuesday nights, or
I'd
what's
like
your
to.
plan to remedy
Yeah,
this problem?
I know. Yeah, that's kind of like, yeah. I don't know. It's kind of something that's been brewing, and I think that's like on Sunday I had such a good time like seeing everyone. I think
Mm-hmm.
it helped me put my finger on the pulse. I think that's what's missing from having regular games. Like as much as I like going to people's places, like Hector's or Gareth's or Ryan's or whatever, that's always good. But I think having like a venue where you see multiple people in a night and you all kind of have a like, kind of have like that thing to do and hang
Yeah.
out.
Mm.
I think for me that would help.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Like I think Tuesday nights are gonna be Tuesday and Thursday nights for me. Pretty, um, excuse me, regular. If not both, at least one, and that kind of keeps me in the game. But I will agree. I think I have had a bit of a love loss on Infinity lately. I don't know. I tried to counter that with the Anzac Cup that we talked about, where I ran
Hmm.
double Maggie and just pushed them around for fun. Still had four great games. Still had some frustrations that you'd expect,
Hmm.
even if you're trying to play casually. Sometimes the dice just go, nah, fuck you.
Mm.
Um, you just kind of go through these cyclical moods where you lose a couple of games, or you have a couple of like won't say unfun games, but games where you're just like, oh, why did I put in like 3 hours of my evening for this?
Yeah.
Um, to then having like a really fun game where it's really close, and
You're like, I love
like
this game.
my game against Aaron at Anzac Cup, I was like, oh wow, this is like going like the best way for both of us. None of us are having a
Mm.
terrible game. But that's just the problem with like the dice games in general. And I think I'm coming back up on that again now. I put together the Shakush tonight, so
Mhm.
even though I probably won't ever actually run it, but I put together, and that
Nice.
that made me feel better. I also put together the Alpha Seed HRL because it's a
Oh, nice.
kick-ass model.
That is a king model.
So I think I'm gonna start running that thing again
Mm.
in Harris's now that I've actually got the model together, and I just need to
Yeah.
paint it. Um, I think experimentation as well is something that really makes me um
Interesting.
keen for more games.
I think I
There's the other.
I
Yeah.
think
Sorry. I go, Joe.
okay. Oh, I was gonna say I think for me, I do like to like play around with things. Like I want to play around with Bakunin and see how it goes for BCB and all that sort of thing. But I think what I've done, which is probably to my advantage, is like pulled back on that, like trying to experience every single freaking bit of Infinity that interests me. One week it's one army, one week it's another army, and try to really sort of
Brilliant.
appreciate what I'm playing
Mm,
at that moment for like that month. I thought it would get really stale, or if like I would play like when I was like play tack and then it wouldn't work and I get really frustrated and get really
And then
demoralized. But what I found is that change of mindset of figure out what the sectorial or whatever the army is about, right? Lean into that, learn that that's your experimentation. Once I got sort of my head around that and sort of concentrated on one like bit of Infinity, I found that like I was able to sort of once I could figure out how an army sort of worked, there was less of that analysis paralysis. I knew sort of
Mm.
if I'm in this situation, this is what I do, and then it's more about just sort of like solving a half-solved problem. Really, it's more relaxed. It's more sort of fun. So I think if you're finding yourself almost overwhelmed by Infinity and you can't really figure out what's comfortable for you, it's time to maybe sort of sit in one spot for a little bit, take a
Just dig
look at
in.
take a look at what you're doing, and really get to the point where you're either like, no, this sucks crap. I can't do it. Like we were talking with Ed, and he like he played Still Phalanx and just
Didn't
could
like it.
like the playstyle just didn't sit with him at all. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with me, I really enjoy Infinity. Like TAC plays very differently to. Fuck, what was I
Yeah.
playing before? What was I
You,
playing before
you played
TAC?
Invincible Army.
Yeah, Invincible Army. They play very differently from each other.
Yep. Exactly. No, but it's true. Like sitting in one spot and really digging into action, it's probably one of the best things I've done for myself in Infinity, where I give myself this yearly thing where I'm doing one
Mm.
faction for a year. And the factions are
Yeah.
deep. They really are deep. And like you force yourself to learn how to experiment and how to
Yeah.
try new things.
I think we're
And
just
you
happy
really
that
do
you've gotten out of the abuse of ISS.
That's true. That's true.
Out
One second, I'm gonna
of that
take a quick.
long-term relationship, that
I'm
original
Wait
but
until he has like what like enough bad games and he spirals back and he's just like, no, it'll love me, guys.
it's a fine balance though, right? Between it, because like here I am, I'm like experimenting in the kiddie pool with like stupid lists and like kind of shrugging all like water off a duck's back type thing. But at the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, but I'm not getting any better. Do I
yeah,
care? It's like that kind of that feeling of like, man, I'm kind of glad I'm running BCP and not playing in it, because I would be way more thinking about trying to get my reps up to place well at BCP. But because I'm not
yeah.
really playing at it,
Generally,
I
yeah,
can play around. But then I do listen to you guys talk about like drilling into this like faction and really
yeah.
finding like my groove and getting used to like a certain army composition. I'm kind of, oh, I do miss that as well though. Like I
Just
miss
more enjoyable.
like playing, it's just, I guess it depends, like horses for courses type thing. Like
Yeah.
I want to, but also I just don't get enough games in either. So you've got at some
Mm,
point you got to pick one or the other. Like if you're only getting one game in every maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, is it worth just like trying to rep the same list,
yeah.
or
I
do you
mean,
Not
just
so.
go
Yeah,
like
I think so.
random army generator every like
Nah,
fortnight?
I think the random army generating kind of like losing focus is probably detrimental. And like even if you only get like 1 or 2
Mm.
games a week, if you're doing the same fashion and you're just experimenting and just really trying to stay in that in that faction, I think you can have fun. But the main thing is like regular games. But also one thing you touched on is like tournaments or big events or any events, they galvanize your focus. So when you're like got one eye on a tournament coming up, you're playing with the faction around that tournament. It helps you galvanize, kind of it helps to, like kind of get your focus, and I don't know, it helps you build work towards something. Me at
yeah.
least,
Can be really
I think
fun
that's
as well. Like I mean, like Hugh, our local Hugh, is a good example where he's basically taken limited insertion Morats for the
mm.
whole of this year, and I don't know if that's just like self-flagellation or what.
No,
Like,
it's
but
ALF.
he
He
seems to
started
be
with
having a good.
Morats, now it's OSS.
Oh, now he's moving on to OSS. Right.
Yeah, now
Okay.
he's
Is he
having
still
trouble
running?
with that.
Is he
He's
still?
now
He's
still
still running limited insertion there, or is
yeah, he's
he?
hard, but
He's
he's
still?
working
Is
through
he
it.
still? Or is he still running limited insertion with it, or is it just is that just for Morats?
Still with
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
still running 10 or single
yeah,
combat group.
it's
Yeah,
hard.
which is a
But it's
great
making him
experiment. But I think yes,
What's
it's
making
a good
him have
experiment.
to
But yeah, like
consider.
it's a sorry, we keep talking over each other. Uh, it's a great experiment. But I guess yes, it can be hard, and it can be a little bit of yeah, like you're just punishing yourself for what gain.
Yeah, so one of the things we've been discussing, me, him, and Jordan, kind of brainstorming, he needs more bodies on the table. So he's starting to other units. I'm really pushing for him to try Arjunas, just to give like the bots to kind of facilitate his deployment zone with like a couple of bodies, and just really lean into the proxy bodies again, but also utilize some of the bigger pieces like the Suras and the Yadus, or, and things like that. So I don't know, it's just interesting. It forces you to bring some different profiles, and he's definitely struggled with that. But yeah, I guess you make your own fun in how you approach the game. I don't. But I think if you're jumping from one faction to another and like not focusing, I think you're making it a little bit harder on
I mean,
yourself.
Because like I
Especially if
saw,
you.
but it depends. If you're in Kev's situation when you know you don't really have, like, you don't have a necessarily a reason to focus, and you're playing Infinity for the sake of Infinity, then I don't see any problem with like taking the like your flavor of the week. I remember, I think after the last BCB, I just took a little break, partly because like the timing just never worked. I had things on during tournaments, but I took a little break from um, tournaments to just play Infinity. Um, and
mm,
it's nice to have the mindset of there's this gimmick I want to try. Or I think the one thing I did was I was like, I'd say that they dropped the engineer Nexus operator. I went, oh cool, I'm gonna go back to this faction that I really like Onyx Contact Force, but it was garbage in N3, and now it's better.
I think
it's
Um,
very
Kev
good. Yeah.
misses the tussle of like the
yeah,
competitive side of it. I think Kev's kind of like torn between like, oh, I really want to kind of excel and improve and compete, but at the same time, I also want to just do Infinity. And it's like, I don't know. I think you're kind of torn between two. So I don't know. I don't know. You have to work
Yeah,
that out
no, I mean,
yourself a little bit.
I've got like a whole bunch of lists that are constructed for Rama that I don't have enough time to play them all, and then the
mm,
time in which I do get to play, I often kind of have this like moment of panic where I'm like, oh, should I just run like the pure core for each list for the first time, or is this more of
Mm,
a night where I should just like play this double dual list that I've been playing around
yeah,
with and like experiment with it?
just keep
And
trying
I
to
often
improve it.
find myself just like, yeah, just kind of, I'm like, oh, where do I go? Like, I would love to just be able to have like 5 games in 5 days and just go through each of my lists and army because like I have
yeah.
to
Just
scroll
try.
through so many
Oh
of these
man, I've
lists
got
going, oh, I'll
so
never get
much.
to try you. I'll never
Also,
get to, and I'm just
Yeah,
like,
speak.
and I'm
just
just,
like run my core link V1,
Oh,
V2, V3, double Maggie V1, V2. Yeah.
that's a
Um.
lot.
yeah,
Yeah, I
and it
think.
makes me sad.
One
It
sec.
makes me sad.
I
I'll
mean, look.
jump in a quick flash.
I think you either
Val, were you gonna
have.
say something?
I think he's just going
Oh,
to the
sorry, he's gone.
toilet.
Okay.
I think in that case, it's really just um, like you take one of sort of two ways of focusing on it. Is you do what I did with TAC, which is like you're hyper focused on like figuring them out and be like, okay, I have to figure out how these guys play, change my play style to be like what they like. But at the same time, I think I don't know where I was going with this now. I think about it, I don't even know
Well,
where I started.
I was what I was gonna say as well is, I mean, maybe listeners out there might good to hear their thoughts on it as well. But we have we've got a couple of we've got a couple of group chats that go on Messenger, and we've got Discord, local Discord. We've got the Loss of Lieutenant Discord, and then I have not been looking at global Discord or any of those IGL ones for quite some time now because I'm kind of over talking about tactics. Like I'm kind of over just kind of prevailing thoughts about what is better.
Yeah,
What how to overcome this problem, and like there's no like no one's bitching this no one's bitching about it, and like they're just like there's just this deep conversations that are happening about certain units or certain like even like Rob's videos are really good. 101 that he's doing is really great because it brings you back to basics, but there are definitely um some chats that I'm finding just to be a bit exhausting. Like
Yeah, 100%.
I don't give a shit that this profile is like more optimal than this other profile, or
No,
that I should be running this profile over this one.
no,
I just wanna play with the models that I want to play with, which makes
yeah.
me feel like a noob, but I'm also like just kinda like I
I
just
mean,
yeah, I'm just kinda over it, over to
ha-
over hearing about it.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh yeah,
having been one of the instigators of probably of like one of your frustrating moments, I do think there is sometimes just the way random luck works. I remember that fight that my line Kazakh had with your Mukhtar. What was the one you drag along with the Rafik?
It
Haddad, Namur.
depends. Yeah, that depends which one it was, but yeah.
Yeah. Um, sometimes you really do get into the streak, and I don't know where um your dice just night after night are like just getting you down, and I think when that's happening, it's a good chance to really sort of like shift gears entirely. Just so you're not in that
Well,
situation, not
yeah,
just so you're not in like because like you're doing all the right things, the dice are just being awful to you. So now it's time to just sort of try something new to like so you're not in that sort of situation anymore, right? Your dice are rolling for something
yeah.
different.
What's
I don't like to blame the.
I
Sorry,
hate
Val, what you
blaming
saying?
dice. No,
Sorry.
you go. I
Yeah,
kind
no,
of came
I know. I
halfway
was gonna say
through.
I don't like. I was just saying that I'm getting over the some of the competitive side of things in the game, and also just me being competitive,
Uh,
and like just trying to figure out what the best profile is, and like, oh, this is how you deal with this, or etc. 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 What you did say there, Jacob, that reminded me of something I was going to mention about the game I had with Jim, and this, that when I was getting sort of paralyzed by not knowing what to do and just going ahead and doing it, is that what I ended up doing took quite a there was a fair bit of risk involved.
mm,
Even though I knew what was probably underneath the camo markers, it was very much reliant on me passing those discover checks. Like if I discovered shot and failed to discover, I would be kind of stuck. And
Mm,
it was one of those things where after the game finished, and we both had a good game. Like it was a good game, but if my discover check had failed, I would have been in a pretty shitty spot, and it's just going back to like the games where like things. It's managing risk, I guess, is what it comes down to, right? It's
yeah.
like yes, your dice might screw you, but you should have managed the
have
risk. So like even if they do screw you over, you have a plan B,
backup plan.
Yeah.
a
Exactly
plan
right.
C. You have another way around it that might take more orders or might do a
Mm,
different thing, but you're not just being like, oh, plan A failed, I don't have a plan B. Oh,
Oh, my
dice fucked
dice.
me.
Like blame. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
That's not an excuse. Like the
yeah.
dice
Oh,
fucked you, sure, go roll them
yeah.
again on another thing. So
Mm,
like if my discover had failed, I would have been pretty annoyed.
Mm,
I could have discovered with another model, but that would have taken orders because there's decompression zones in the way, yada yada yada. Um, but that's where my head has been at lately, where just like little things that go wrong kind of annoy me, and I was trying to like reset myself back into being
mm,
like more
um,
laissez-faire about the game, so that I don't get so frustrated. Which
yeah.
is another reason why I'm going back to playing A Song of Ice and Fire,
yeah.
I was about to
just
say
because
when
it's
What's
a bit of a palate cleanser.
yeah,
yeah,
it's when
yeah.
you're getting into that
Oh,
sort of thing where you like a central tenet of Infinity, which I think is like managing, but also sort of taking those risks. When you have to, I don't know, discover on 13 or something like that. Um,
mhm.
and that's getting on your nerves. Then there's no harm in saying, all right, I'm just gonna play something that's a total shifting gears, and like you said, play Song of Ice and Fire, where you've got cards and abilities, and it's all rank and file, and you can just like sort of like almost like clear the cache of your brain of all the infinity
Related
stuff, and
stuff.
then come back
Well,
later with just I don't know, like just like a fresh mind.
Yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's pretty solid advice, actually,
Yeah.
Jacob. But also, the other thing I was going to say, though, in those situations, I asked two questions like, hey, do I need to make that play?
Mm.
B,
Mhm.
my list have a lack backup tool, and is that something I think about next time? Those are the only two questions I asked.
Yeah, and that's
It's like, did I need to do that? And was that too much risk? Or should I, or my list lack a plan B, and that's actually a list failure, and I need to.
It's such a
Yeah.
shitty game. Oh, you
Oh,
can't see
hold
me.
on.
Okay, so
Sorry. So
sorry.
hold on, Kev. Kev, can you just check your mic or something? I don't know if you're fuzzy for
Yeah, you're a
everyone
bit fuzzy
else.
now.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Yeah, like really staticky.
My, all right. My,
Yeah, jump out.
see, sucker.
All right. Um. Sorry, you were saying Val about
Yeah, I was just saying.
yeah,
I think.
the like the plan Bs and stuff like that. I mean that was what
Yeah,
led me to like include the Spetsnaz parachutist
yeah.
into my tack list because I realized every single time I had a problem that I couldn't solve.
Is that
um
better now?
yeah,
Yeah,
you
much better.
sound awesome.
Oh, awesome.
The yeah, awesome. The Spetsnaz parachutist could solve it. So yeah, there's sometimes where sometimes where like you take a risk and you find out that either you didn't have to take it or you didn't have the appropriate plan B. You need to go a little bit back to the drawing board. But there is also like Infinity sometimes is a game of you need to take that risk. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's not the perfect example, but when I did talk about the Shikami, the Shikami as a model all about right, like having massive balls and taking as much risks as possible because they can't do anything else unless they get within pretty much eight, in all honesty. Um, and
You really have to. Yeah,
and
and if it goes wrong for the I mean, so many points.
yeah,
Like,
and like tack is another thing where like I mean like you have to take a certain number of risks with tack because the payoff can be huge. And in some cases, if it fails, if the gamble fails, yeah, it can sort of start pulling that plan apart. And if you're
Yeah.
finding that you can't like deal with the risk of a particular army, then again,
or
just like
just
Ed said, maybe that army is just not like
for you.
suitable to your play style. You want to play something that it can be a bit safer, that can take a couple of failed risks, recover, and not necessarily lose anything for it. Prime example, OSS and Dakinis. If a Dakini
Yeah,
takes a
not enough.
missile to the face, um,
It could
it
still
can
live,
see if
right?
it passed one armor save. So long as you got an engineer nearby, that Dakini's back up, back in the fire team, and you're good to go.
But yeah, so it
Um,
sounds like we covered quite a few. So it sounds like we've all kind of like had gone through moments where we're not enjoying the game as much,
oh,
or
for
what we
sure.
need to galvanize it the game for us again. And I think for me, it's having events. So I think Kevin, thank you very much for this league. It's actually really fun. I'm actually really
Good.
enjoying it. Can't wait to play Doug tomorrow, even though I've already beaten him as far as this podcast is concerned. I'm really looking forward to it. It's getting people together as well. That's awesome. Having just events in general, we got quite a few coming up, so I think that's going to galvanize the community a little bit. But I think having the regular night, I think that's what I'm going to focus on personally. And I think Kevin, actually, one thing I've been thinking on your behalf is you do so much in the community. I'm just wondering how much time or brain capacity you put towards just thinking about it in your list or Infinity or your faction rather than the podcast or the challenges or the event or that sort of stuff, and how much. I'm wondering if like your bandwidth is being eaten up by that a lot, so you're not getting excited to play games because you're thinking about like your factions. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I
There's
think there's
definitely
yeah,
yeah, I mean, you are right about Infinity Army. Like Infinity Army, if you were to ask me 2 years ago, like, what do I do? How do I spend my time? Mostly just on the shitter making lists. But
exactly.
now I pick up my phone now, maybe when I'm in bed or when I'm doing whatever, and I kind of I'm actually I
Bit of the
get kind of
chat which
nervous.
just pisses you off.
I get kind of nervous about opening up Infinity Army because I get sucked into this hole of like 30 lists that I've built and never tried.
You
And then
have
I
to
look at
delete
the infinite, and then I
delete
look
them.
at the our Infinity chat, and I'm like, someone's talking about risk management, and we're like, go speak to Rob Cantrell. By the way, there's a really good video on that. If
He's
we're
great.
like, we're gonna we ramble on about what risk management and like
Yeah,
it's your own fault if your dice are rolling bad sort of thing. But yeah, I definitely have like needed to take a step back from
yeah.
being so competitively involved in Infinity because I've got other stuff to do, like
Do
around
we?
the community, but also just around like work and life
Yeah.
and things like that. And like I'm realizing that like spending 2 hours a day writing Infinity lists is probably something that I found I need to cut down on.
I think
Which
Do any of you
I'd say the
guys?
other way. I think that makes you more excited to actually play the game. I think all the admin is the stuff that's taking away from it because I think
oh right,
that's what
yeah,
I'm saying. I think writing lists and looking at profiles gets your brain juices going and thinking about playing and testing things. Whilst at the moment, all you're doing is the admin side of stuff around the community and the podcast, and then checking the chat, and where you just hear me trying to shit stir people about Bronin or Pavel or whatever the fuck is the flavor for the day. But
I think what we
me
should
just
take away from what you're
writing.
saying, Val, is somebody needs to take up Kevin's torch for a little bit.
Yeah, to a degree for sure, but also it's for Kevin to manage like where he's putting
yeah,
his bandwidth
sure.
maybe.
No,
But
you're right.
So,
Yeah, I mean,
I
I could
think
probably
and
be
having a
more.
regular night, I think, and if you want to have a game with me next Tuesday, this is me asking out on a date, Kevin.
Okay,
Next Tuesday at Axe and Ales, I'd be very keen.
sounds good.
hey,
Let's lock in next Tuesday. I'm
just
not going too far for work, so I can.
Perfect.
just as
Happy.
a sort of a question from somebody who has never organized an event, like on terms of like let's just say a scale of 1 to 10, how much sort of joy, satisfaction, however you want to put it, do you actually find in running something like BSB,
Depends who wins.
BSB, BCB?
Depends who wins.
It really
Like
depends who wins.
like a 10 out of 10.
So it's a really good
Like I mean,
experience to do
sorry,
it.
about a 5 out of 10 up until about the Friday before the event, and then it sort of slowly ramps up.
Okay.
Um, because the admin stuff is like chasing cats, and
Yeah.
that's actually people say it's really hard to run an event. It's actually not. It's really simple.
Yeah, it's
Um,
It's
really
organizing it that's a pain in the ass.
it's really no, it's really simple. Like it's
Okay.
you can make a Facebook event as long as you got a venue.
exactly.
People will,
People do the
and so long
table
as you got a great community that actually sign up and
and
pay
pitch
you
in.
on time, that's the issue. Like, is you'll get some communities that will wait until the Thursday or the Friday night of the event for the event to sign up, and you're the organizer going, how the fuck do I pay for Pride? I've got no money.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna have to
yeah.
cancel
So
the
when
event.
you put out a
But
poll,
everyone in Melbourne really is pretty good. Like, if I sign up, if I started this league up, I had 10, 12 people sign up within the first few weeks, and then the last, half a dozen or so are the ones
well,
that kind of straggle. They're the stragglers, but you can
yeah,
usually rely on them. It's just you know, it's just
You,
knowing the community and who you can try, who you can rely on, and who actually responds.
I,
But the actual running of an event is incredibly satisfying because you see people happy and enjoying a game that you
yeah.
put so much effort
I
into
think
playing. So
I
yeah.
think I
because
have a
generally
new.
people you
I
like,
think I have
right?
a new. I think I have a new
Generally
goal.
speaking, not everyone.
I have a new goal for
Does.
BCB now that I want everyone to get on board of. Is nobody pay Kev until the day before. I want the tax office to call him and ask him why he's getting so much cash deposited.
Didn't bring the tax numbers. Why are you investing in cryptocurrency, Kevin Hamilton? We just gave you a citizenship, and we don't want we don't
No,
want to
yeah, I
regret
need
it.
the
Just
money. I need the
um,
money now to
okay,
pay down my
that's
credit cards. So that's why I need it
yeah,
now.
that's cool. 'Cause I was
right.
just wondering. I don't think I've ever actually asked like, what's it like to run an event.
Well, I mean, it
Um,
can't be that bad because Tristan's running his first one. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's pretty easy. Not to put anybody off.
Don't do it
It is
hungover.
actually pretty.
Do it hungover.
Yeah,
That's But other than
and
that, it's
always have a friend as well to help you if you are hungover. Yeah, you're not doing everything on the day, especially if you're having to play. That's actually the
mm,
one thing I hate about running events is when you have to play on the
yeah,
day.
that sucks.
And I'm
Okay.
like, oh fuck this.
It sucks.
I've heard that almost universally. I think organizers like I have to play the fucking bike. God damn it! I just wanted to
Yeah,
sit here
yeah.
and watch people play.
Because
Yeah,
you don't want to give somebody a buy, especially if it's just a
I
one
know.
day event and they only play two games,
No
or if it's
way.
a
No
2 day
way.
event and
May
like
as well go Darwin.
Yeah, no,
yeah, may as well
I
go
totally get that,
Darwin.
but I also get the
Sorry,
idea.
Shane. I know you're the
I
creator.
also
You're
get
the
the
creator.
idea of like if you're the TO, you kind of want to be a glut and just like a glut for spectating games where you get to just watch like 20,
Yeah, you want a
20 games
helicopter
going on.
appearance,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
want to come around and you want to take pictures because that's the other thing, right? People love. So this is something that we can we've got some Patreon questions that we will move on to, but it's something that I want to mention as part of our hobby chat or part of our chat tonight that has become like a real, I don't know what word I'm going to use to describe it, but people love bitching about other people's tables.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah. It's
like
Oof.
toxic.
if
The
you're
most
at an
toxic thing.
event and like if I'm the TO for an event and I have to play, the other problem with that is it means I can't take photos. I'm less likely to take photos
Yeah.
of all the tables and post them
Mm.
on the IGC, the global community. Yeah, on IGC because then no one's gonna come bitch about them because they're not there. So yeah,
Yeah, it's true.
but
You're missing a
everyone
important part of the community.
missing it, missing out on
But
like
also,
exactly because it's a community engagement, right? You got everyone on the land going, "Oh, those tables look great," and then you got one guy who's like, "Too open, too
oh,
dead.
man, who cares?
What is this rubbish?"
New South Wales.
You
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah.
I do actually love talking about the table construction. We had the game I had on Sunday with Jim. I let Josh put the table together. Shout out to Josh. He fucked up, but it's okay. It's funny actually. The more we talk about tables, the more I realize the sort of
Go table Nazi,
uh
by the way.
I'm a Nazi. But even like I let Josh set up the table and like I have myself to blame because I only did one deployment zone and Josh
Mhm.
did the other. And we realized after we'd set up that we had done this like one of the cardinal sins I find of table design is you put all this cool stuff in the deployment zone, and you put all this cool stuff in the center of the table. Then there's this 4-inch strip
Yeah,
between
Yeah.
yeah,
your
yeah.
DZ
Between DC and
and
the middle,
where
yeah.
there's fucking nothing.
I
And that can be okay sometimes, but then sometimes
Uh,
you can walk an AD trooper on the table and he just sees the length and like the
yeah,
breadth of
yeah.
fucking of
I
your
I
deployment
was
of the table.
I was always, and I still very much am, just like terrified of putting tables together because I remember when I first started doing it, I would I would like subconsciously build the DZ I wanted to see, but just on the side of the table I happened to be standing on, and it took me
Yes,
forever. It
right.
took me forever to realize I may not be on this side of the table, so I'm building my opponent's deployment zone, and B, this will not like I need to like. I mean, I only have finite amount of terrain to put on this table. I
yeah.
can't
Otherwise,
put
you
all the
run out of
sniper
space.
towers on this side of the table. I have to put it in. So I think an old adage, I think that that I sort of got from Julian way back is that in Infinity, each side of the table should be um, similar but different.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one
Right.
abide by.
Yeah.
I know some people like to say that they shouldn't be balanced, but I'd like to think that they should be balanced but
They,
different.
yeah.
Uh,
Look. They can be unbalanced, so to speak. One guy can have the sniper tower. The way I always look at it is if one guy has like a lot, like one side has a lot of the perches for like sort of more of a static deployment, the other side of the table has more staircases facing them, so that they can get up on the stairs and shit
attack from there.
like faster. So there's less
I just
climbing or
know.
walking around or something like that.
What are you
I'm
saying,
just
Val?
conscious. It's 10 to 10, and we have a chance to finish this podcast before 10 o'clock. And we got some Patreon questions to answer.
Yeah.
So I was
Sure.
wondering if you guys want to wrap it up and jump into the Patreon questions. Or
Yeah. Cool.
what?
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Let's do
All right.
them because there are some quite good ones. We did ask our patrons. Like I say, you can become a patron. You can become one of our valued chain of command cocks for as little as $3 a month or something like that. I think it is.
We
Yeah,
have
join
so
up,
many
sign
big,
up.
beautiful cocks.
We
Yes,
do.
you get
We
to
do.
you get to
And
you get to
small.
talk to us personally.
We like 'em.
Uh, you you get to shitpost Val on a server only he can see. It's great.
Absolutely.
Um, so yeah, okay. So we have a few questions to get
Yeah.
through. Val, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, for sure. So Hoppy's asked, what unit gives you the most fun on the table? For me, at the moment in TAC, I'm enjoying between the Dog Warriors and Varn. That's what I'm running. Varn is really difficult to use, but I know it's got potential. And you know how I know? No, this is something I don't let out of the bag very often, right? Anytime I have a and everyone disagreeing with me, that's one sign that I think I'm onto something. Then speak to somebody like Hector, and Hector's like, you know what? See something there. It's not easy, and I don't think it's first option, but there's something there.
I
That
mean, Hector's just a really nice guy.
yeah, okay. Hector was just being a really nice guy.
He's just a really nice Spaniard.
He
He's
really
just
is.
like,
Yeah.
oh, because what
His
happens
English
when
isn't actually that strong. He might not
you
understand
know
what you're saying.
you know how we know when it's happening is you're telling him about Veronin and
Mm.
he's probably got one of his hands on your shoulders and he's just like, yeah, buddy, yeah, you know what, you're
Yeah.
right, buddy. That's Hector right there.
You
It's
got
it's
it,
like
amigo. You
it's
got it,
it's it's
amigo. Yeah,
it's
that's
like
fine.
it's like someone's completely confused, has got no idea what you're talking about, and makes no sense. So you're like, yeah, sure, I'm sure there's something there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
want to play?
Okay,
Do you want to
Just
play some
slowly,
Dragon Dice?
just
Hang
yeah,
on, I'm gonna.
just slowly back away.
You got it, amigo. Yeah, no, it's like,
All
yeah.
right,
Honestly,
I am gonna play that game.
I'm
Cool.
enjoying Voronin. Voronin's really fun at the moment, and the Dog Warriors.
Jacob, what about you?
I'm gonna try and avoid saying the Spetnaz, because it seems to be the only unit I talk about at the moment. I'm kind of enjoying right now the Taskmaster, the Kunin.
Oh, okay. Which one?
Uh, at the moment, the Red Fury one, um, because the Red Fury gets sort of the best of both worlds. It gets the crazy koalas, which the HMG doesn't get, but it gets the burst, that
Or
the
What?
rocket launcher.
Not the HRL?
That I haven't had a chance to try the HRL. I think the HRL is great because you get that extra extended range. And
Okay.
popping in
Yeah.
with two Morlocks that become regular,
Mm.
right? The fact that it can drop, that they can drop smoke, is
Yes,
awesome.
absolutely.
And the one thing, and I think this is really big, is the Taskmaster is a fucking great candidate for the Master Breacher. Right, because it
Right.
gives
Why
him
is that?
because it gives him the terrain 0G, which is the only thing that's really important now. So doesn't care about decompression zones. Gets to move an extra inch and all that sort of thing. Um, but it gives him the D charges for melee, and he does have martial arts and stealth.
Oh, yeah,
I
CC 21 and
yeah,
stealth.
not bad.
He does have
Respectable.
stealth. Yeah,
think he
respectable.
has stealth.
Yes, he
So
does.
he's that sort of like I used them last to like slap a cutter around. Right, he's a really great like big thing that's big and scary. You walk up and he's able to
Yeah.
shoot. He's able to do combat with the Morlocks. It means he's able to get to where he needs to go. He's good at close range because he's got a heavy pistol. His guns are great. Crazy koalas, just fun to use. They're good. They work and all that sort of thing. There's just a really flexible profile that I'm having. I'm
A lot
learning
of fun.
still, but I'm having a lot of fun with him.
Yeah,
Nice.
cool.
What
And then
about you,
for
Kev?
me, Sphinx is and always will be one of my favorite units in the game to play around
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
because hot diggity dog. There's not many things. I don't play many strong strong attacking armies. I really tend to play asymmetrically. But when you have a Sphinx on the table, just the whole table is your playground.
Mm.
Everyone just goes off fuck when you reveal an S6 camo marker, and it's just hella fun. It's just such a crazy fun profile to play. And if ever I'm feeling blue, I'll just play a game with the Sphinx, and probably my opponent hates me by the end of it, but it's fine. And then
I'll
other than
forgive
that,
you next Tuesday.
the Namur we've been talking about, I want to move on from playing the attack awareness profile because I really miss that Emarat on the non-attack awareness profile, and it
Mm.
also frees up like 2 or 3 points, which may be useful. I don't know.
Upgrade some other units.
That's something I need to test. But yeah, the Namur has also been a lot of fun, mostly because when you're playing it, sometimes I will forget to tell my opponent that it's got total immunity. Like I'll just be like, "Oh yeah, by the way,
Yeah,
it
just,
doesn't
yeah,
get
yeah, there's no more. Yep.
or that it's got 2 wounds because people think of
Mm,
it before it got its upgrade when it was just 1 wound, no in cap.
yeah.
So having an S2 light infantry that's not hackable, be 2 wounds with total immunity
Good
is
nice.
is really nice for hack. So
Is it
I'm
is
still having
it
a lot of fun playing.
sorry?
Honestly.
Is it full 2 wounds, or is it that pseudo
Or two
NWI
wins.
shock
Or two
immune?
wins.
2 wounds. Yeah, no, it's
Oh,
full
cool,
two
Two
wounds
wins.
now.
cool.
Yeah, which is quite nice. So yeah, those two profiles. Hobby, thanks for the question.
Yeah. All right, you ended.
Next up, uh, next up. Sorry, what was that you said, Jacob?
Oh, just saying. Ask the next question, Kev. Was all I was really
Oh,
saying.
okay, sorry. Yep. So we have a question from Zephyr. Actually, we have two. Do I just do them both
Yeah,
as
just do
follow
both.
ups?
Yeah, do
Well,
both. Yeah.
Yeah,
no. So I think
And then,
his follow up is a follow up to Feast's question.
I don't
uh,
think it
no,
does.
I think no, just do both as efforts. We'll just get them done.
All
I
right, cool.
think
So
because I think they connect.
they do connect. Yeah. So what are your favorite pieces of faction design from a game design standpoint? And then his follow up question is, um, which unit do you wish didn't exist because it shut? Well, yeah, because it shuts down list building around it too much. So like you've got the design, so favorite
Yeah.
pieces of faction design.
Mhm.
Then what unit do you wish didn't exist because it does kind of shut down list building from a design perspective?
Yeah, I
I think.
I'm
I'll
just
go
gonna.
first
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
this
Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go for
go
it.
man.
Go.
one,
Take it away.
because, well, I'm going to go first just to say that I agree with what Zephyr was alluding to in his follow up question about the Asawira, because it is such a goddamn good
Mm,
profile in Hack
Yeah,
Islam and Assassins that you're often a little bit like silly not to include
mm,
it. And then similarly to the Liberto, because you're often in factions that can take it, or you're often just running at 5 SWC, not 6. And then yeah, so those on on this follow up question. But then pieces of faction design from a game design standpoint, I'll let you guys take that away because I'll have to think about that.
Yeah.
I'm.
I'll start with the second question first as well. Sorry,
Oh,
Jacob.
that's all right.
So for me, Cornac,
Yeah,
in Morat, he's just. I
have you
didn't need
listened
him.
to Have you listened to Rob's latest video
No, I
where
haven't.
where he says that you should get your head checked out if you don't run Karnak?
I mean
Yeah. No.
that is the point, right? Is like, why would you not run Cornac?
Yeah. No. I'll stand by it. You don't have to run that every time, but he's very hard to put away.
Yes.
And I really don't like that. And basically, my favorite piece from a fashion design point of view is versatility. The more versatile the faction can be, the more viable different a variety of units is. That's the more I like the faction. For me. Yeah, that's my favorite part of fashion design. Flexibility effect.
Hmm. Jacob?
I again, I'll do the same thing. I'll start with the second one. I'm just trying to think of a good example that like I really had um sort of thought about. And now I think about it, and like I think um the Speculo Killer for Shaz. It's such a good profile. It does its job so well, and it's a piece that's so needed in Shaz to like assassinate something really important that you're you're always going to take at least one. It's probably going to be the Mind Layer one, and it's probably going to be the unit that you hold back. I think that the Speculo Killer in Shazvasti, it's
Too
such a
easy.
it's such a good tool in a faction that really needs to lean on like it has it's like Shazvasi has to lean on its tools. It has to lean on Caliban's using like Prothean and being up there, like Noctifers and all that sort of thing. And
Yeah.
the Specular Killer is like the epitome of that, where you've got the monofilament, like high impersonator, you've got smoke, like it has so many things that
Yeah.
it potentially needs
He
to
is the
do.
epitome.
Yeah.
The epitome. No, I kind of do
Uh,
agree. I've seen a few Shaz lists built without any speculos, and I go, what?
Why?
Why are you
yeah.
not
Why?
including one?
Why?
But
It's
you
like
make a good case for it because if you look at Combined Army, it has access to speculos. You don't always see.
You
As
know,
Hack Islam has access to Fides. I mean, you see them most of the time, but they
not
don't
always.
shut down list building in the same way that Speculo does. Well, not shut down. It kind of narrows it a
well,
little bit because you pay that 1.5 SWC. the pleasure of having the mine layer, that's a significant chunk of your points
Yeah.
of your SWC
And
allowance.
I think for like assassins who really have the hackers alarm, but assassins for the sake of talking about sectorials have the only sort of comparable piece in the Fidei. But the one thing that the Speculo
Well, that's what
does,
I said. It's not an opportunity. You're not having an opportunity cost associated with it because it's 0 SWC and 25 points, so it's not
yeah,
not big.
doesn't
and
shut down list building.
yeah, and the Fidei, like if you need smoke, you just take the Guzzies,
Sure,
right? Like
sure, yeah.
like its role can be spread out across a whole bunch of things.
Okay. Oh, here I've got a spicy one for you.
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
Just before, I'll just say my favorite piece of faction design. I've already covered it. Is the the way in which they've implemented the fire team changes that have allowed the personality of sectorials to really shine through.
Beautiful.
yeah. I think I'd probably echo that actually. I couldn't really think of anything top of my head from Zephyr there to say faction design, but I think what they've done now to really individualize the sectorals and promote stuff like
Mm,
what's happened in Starmada, like the meteoric rise that Starmada's had since they've added roadbots and Sarco to them, to give them that flexibility, to give
yeah,
them that ability to be in the midfield, right? Either through infiltration or through a really
yeah,
fast
yeah,
bot. And also the amount of duos that faction can have also
yeah,
really opens up list building. So I think the fire team changes overall have opened up list building for a ton of
yeah.
sectorals.
And
And some vanilla. The only criticism I have for the way that they've handled the fire team changes is they haven't extended that same thought to vanilla, where we have this issue of some vanilla factions have good duos and some vanilla factions basically not having any duos.
yeah.
And I think that's just been I just don't think CB have actually paid too close attention to that. So I would like them to address that in the coming
It
months or whenever.
it does seem like an afterthought, the vanilla duos.
Yes, yes, and it's just they're just not evenly distributed. I don't want them all
Yeah,
to be excellent, but the fact that there's literally some where you just would never even consider
yeah.
them because
I
they're
think
just pointless.
like from memory, the only factions I think that would have good ones are what Huck Islam and Yujing.
Yujing have good ones, yeah, but
Yeah,
there's not too many others. There's a couple of like, oh, that's cute ones, but not like, oh, this is really fun.
yeah.
And my spicy take, if you had nothing else to say, Jacob.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, my spicy take on units which I wish didn't exist, and this is spicy because they've just had a revamp, so I don't know if this is true or not anymore. But Riot Girls,
Yeah, right. Because there were
Fair enough.
too obvious.
Because they
Yeah,
were too popular
yeah.
before, and I don't see that
Yeah.
changing now. In
I
units.
am that's the one thing I want to do as soon as I get my freaking delivery of Bakunin. Is I am going to try and see if I can like challenge that. I want to see how far the Moiras, the Reverends, can be pushed.
Yeah,
I want to see if like that. And I really think that MSV, sorry, not the MSV, the Mimetism -6 can bring them into their own. I just have to wait and see.
and it might not be a shutting down of it necessarily, because I guess like
Mm,
before, what I think it has done is it will move us away from seeing a pure core of Riot Girls, maybe into like a moderator with a Riot Girl in it, which is less a shutting down of list building because it's a lot less of an investment. Because then that allows you to then take some of the newer, spicier, like newer, more interesting
yeah,
stuff.
but I can see,
What remains to be seen.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can see what you're saying. It's still such a good link.
Val,
Uh,
you're trying to butt in here.
Yeah,
What's going
yeah.
on?
No, I need to run. That's all. That's all.
all right,
Okay, so
I'll read
one
it.
more quick.
Yeah, I'll read out the last one,
Yep.
and we'll get it done. So, which unit do you? So this is asked by Fest. So which unit do you love, but you just can't take because they're not good enough, or it doesn't fit the faction? I'm going to go first and just say I've said it again. I've said it before. I've said it again. Aya.
Yeah, I think that's a cop out. Let's ban Aya from the from that.
Oh, all right,
I
fine.
think
If I had to say one that's another one, the Azura Spitfire.
I was actually recommending
Hmm.
you to use that rate. So
Hell, the
you
ever hipster.
It's
You
just
are.
it's
Wow.
just incredibly expensive, and it's such a one-dimensional piece.
Yeah, but it makes it
Mhm.
easy to use. The one argument I was making for Hugh is he was having trouble with the sword because you do so much.
Nope.
But I
True.
think if you just narrow its focus for a little while, get good with it with the Spitfire, and then you can expand it to multi-rifle hacker.
Yeah.
I think that's good advice, actually.
The biggest problem with it is that, like, as soon as someone has white noise, you've just got this like
Oh,
70
please,
point
who has
brick. All right, go on, someone else.
What's yours, Val?
Mine is Ratnik, but I'm gonna make it work. So, but at the moment I'm focusing on it, but the Ratnik is a bit
Yeah,
tough. But I
that's
think
fair
he's
enough.
the only thing. I love him, and I think he is good. Actually, I don't think any model's not good enough. Any profile's not good enough, but the Ratnik is the.
Oh, so the eye is good enough, is it?
Yes, I think I could make that.
The IR is not. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Mine. I've got two. So the first one is pains me to say this. It really does. I
Go,
love
go.
him. I love him so much. But
Dear.
Tariq Mansouri,
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
just he fits Rama like a glove. I don't think he really fits
Yes.
Vanilla Hack quite as well. Actually, no, he fits Vanilla Hack okay. But what has been added around him is just so much better and cheap. Like you've got the Asawira Spitfire, who is a better shot with a better gun for less points. You've you've they've just buffed the Namur to be
Mm,
better than Tariq. Like doesn't move as fast, but has climbing plus instead of super jump. Has as I said, can have a Spitfire that isn't plus 2 damage, but sure, whatever. Is just as tough. Also has total immunity, and that was also like pretty good in close combat. There's just so much around him that has just gotten better, and he's like, "I'm BS 13 though. I'm fine. Like I'm okay. I'm on a fat base and I'm 57 points.
yeah. It's
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 just
hard,
like,
hard.
yeah,
he's sort of like, you take a look at him, and the closest sort of to his equivalent is Ajax, and you see what like he could be.
well,
Well, like
They're
Ajax is
different,
like,
but yeah,
like, but what I'm saying
not
is like
quite the same.
Ajax is like in a faction, is a
that's fine.
similar model, but he like stands out in Steel
Ajax
Phalanx.
has has
What's
has has cut his own niche in there very
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
But Tariq, and the thing is, like, and you can see that people aren't taking him because CB did recently buff him. Well, not
mm,
buff him, but give him. They did what they've done to the IR. Rather than trying to make Tariq just more usable, they added an extra profile, which is
mm,
admittingly better. They basically just said, "Here's the AP rifle version," and then given it tactical awareness. Which you go, oh yeah, I guess so, but you were still not taking the Spitfire version very often because it's just such a cost for not that much of an output. I don't know what to do with him, other than maybe give him total immunity as well, because then that would be awesome. But
too
we'll
strong.
see. We'll see. I don't know. Is he though? Like armor 3, total immunity with 2 wounds. Like no stronger than he'd be
Mm.
no tougher than the Namur, and he'd still be more expensive. So.
Um,
And
I
then
feel like if
my
you,
yep.
last
Sorry.
sorry,
oh, I was
my
gonna
Go.
say,
go
I feel
Val.
like if you gave him sort of like the treatment of the Azura and made him a like a specialist, you could just run him as like a Rambo piece. But whatever.
Maybe. And then my last one, which is just a really quick one because it needs no introduction, are the Jade Cutthroats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because again, excellent models. The Defiance models are primo. They look great. They should be good, but they're just bad
And
because they're too
how
expensive.
much do you want to
Beautiful.
run the bloody
Bad.
But
I
the
don't.
bloody
like
patrol?
so Val is literally dying
Yeah,
for
I
a
have
question
to
to
run. I
introduce
have
it.
to run, guys. I'm
Okay.
sorry. All right. So I'll see you guys. I'll see you. What's his name? Hopefully soon, and probably next Tuesday for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey
All right.
Bye,
guys.
Val. We're just gonna wrap up now anyway. So
Yeah. So
cheerio.
I've
Love
been no,
you.
hold on, just before you go, I've been Jacob,
Been Kevin.
I've been Val. See
and
you
you've been
guys.
listening to Lost Lieutenant. Thank you, guys.
Hey, good night.
Bye.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
All right. Let me stop.